Okay, guys, welcome to the School of Athens 2.0 discussion session. Today's topic is what is the difference between awareness and understanding? So I'll speak first, and then we'll go in turns, and anybody who wants to share. If you want to pass, just say pass. So the whole idea for today's discussion session started actually from a comment that Terence McKenna made. And Terence McKenna was like this shaman, ethnobotanist, kind of like metaphysically contexted person, but looking at things through physics. So he had this quote where he said, what was the exact quote? Life is not meant to be understood, it's meant to be appreciated, right? And then me and Starve in the chat section, in one of the text channels, let me see which one it was. I don't know if you guys read that, what was going on, but pretty much Starve says, he says you can't appreciate what you don't first of all understand. And he's saying that pretty much if understanding is leading to awareness, right, if it's equal to that, you need, he's saying it's the same thing. And then I responded pretty much that it's not the same thing to just be aware of something rather than understanding it. So my perspective is really that, so our eyes open, right? Our eyes open in this world, we see things, but we have a certain, like our brain has a certain storage amount, so there's no way that we can be aware of something and instantly understand it, right? So that was how the discussion started, and I was saying stuff like, what do you call it? I was saying, for example, we are aware of the world we're in, but we don't understand it, right? So you can be aware of something, but it doesn't mean you understand it. But then there's the counter to that, where it's like, how can you understand something if you're not aware of it first? So that is really like the challenge here, where we're wondering, okay, do you have to be aware before you understand? Or in some sense, is understanding like a completely different than just being aware of something? That means it's more than awareness. So there's definitions for these words, right? So here's the definition for awareness: knowledge or perception of a situation or fact. And then it says to understand. For the definition of understanding, it's to have the power to comprehend something, to grasp, to achieve a grasp of the nature, significance, or explanation of something. And then it says to show a sympathetic or tolerant attitude towards something. So this would be my point, where I would say I see it as a sort of cause and effect model, and what we are aware of is the effect. And unless we get to the cause of something, we don't understand it, right? We see so many different people and we see them, we're aware they exist, but it doesn't mean we understand them. So there's like hidden dimensions, or there's additional dimensions, or there's unknown causes that limit us from understanding something. Now, the strange thing is, in mystical circles, like in Vedanta, and the way they distinguish between, they have it in regards to awareness and consciousness, where consciousness is conditional, awareness is unconditional, right? Like that's the major difference between them. So that's the thing where I think when a person is aware of something, that term, because there's a person there, is actually consciousness, and the consciousness is like a limited range of perception. But that understanding of the divine will, for example, they talk about in mysticism, like that state of enlightenment, some people say it's like pure awareness, right? So it could be that awareness and understanding at this level we are in right now, because of our consciousness, are different, But in maybe like superior states of meditation and whatnot, they become the same thing, because at our core, we are not like just the conditions. We're not just the conditions of the body. We're not just the conditions of the mind, which are coming from the body, right? And recently, guys, I'll tell you this. There's a quote, this poem I read from Rumi, which I just committed it to memory. It was like one of those instant things I remember. And Rumi says, Rumi says, you, oh man, what's the first line? He says, you can be ignorant of the marrow, deceived by the skin, but he says, be aware, the essence, the beloved, which is his view of God or the ultimate, he says, the beloved is the center of the soul. And then he says, the essence of the body is sensation. The essence of the senses is the soul. And then there was one last line, which, dear God, I can't remember. And or maybe I think maybe that was it, where he's saying pretty much the essence. The poem's called The Essence of the Essence. Let me actually look it up. Okay.
We can't hear you, or I can't hear you. Can you guys hear him?
No.
There you
go. Yeah. I was just looking it up. Well, anyways, I can't find it, but pretty much it's saying like, so there's a level of the body, right? And then we wonder about how the body is here. We understand the mind. All our senses, sensory perception is in the domain of the mind, right? But then he's saying the essence of the mind is the soul. Oh yeah, I remember the last line. Says when you transcend the body, the senses, and the soul, all is he, all is that, right? So it could be that because we're in the level of the body, it's conditional. Our awareness and our understanding is like limited, right? We may be aware of some things based on like the body. Imagine the body again is like a candle. And then we have to go and put the effort of our body moving around and experimenting, and pretty much like through scientific exploration or intellectual exploration, studying, right? The same thing is like for the level of the senses in regards to the mind, you know, where, I mean, inner realm phenomena or imagination or visualization and how we understand that. I think that it kind of, that's a bit different. But anyways, he's saying you transcend the body, you transcend the mind, you transcend the soul, and all is left is like the absolute intelligence. So with a mystical framework, awareness and understanding are the same. If we look at it from the perspective of the body, they're different. And it's like we're aware of the effects of things, and then once we understand their cause, how something works, right? That's when we understand it, you know? Or why something is the way it is, right? Now, if you bring in an infinite universe, right, can we understand infinity, right? Then that also brings up challenges, it opens up the topic. But anyways, my main conclusion is that from us, like beyond the body and the mind, awareness and understanding are the same, but below that, below the let's say, domain of the soul or the unknown viewer within, it's conditional, so they're separate. So that's my, I guess that's what I can say about it. Now, the stage is open. Who would like to take the microphone?
Well, I was thinking while you were saying that, like, of a simple example of awareness versus understanding. Well, at the core, they're very similar, but there are their differences. Like, if you take a pen and paper and you draw a square on a piece of paper, you look at the square, you can see the sides of the square because the background of the paper allows you to be able to see the square. It manifests itself through the background. So the background is equal and opposite to the actual form that, and you can draw any shape to the actual form that what it is. And I would say that awareness is realizing that it is coming to the understanding that the square serves as a function of the total environment of like awareness. So basically, you can't have the square without the environment. So you can be aware of either being the square or you can be aware of being the environment, but they're both exactly the same thing. But then there's understanding. And when it comes to understanding, you can see that, okay, so now we're going to take and we're going to draw a triangle. Before we were using a square as an example, but we're going to draw a triangle. You can say, hey, you know what? That's a different shape, but I understand that it's a different shape. It's a triangle, but it's the same function because of my awareness allows me to understand that this is a square here, and this square is a function of its environment. It's its total environment. It's inseparable from its background. And we can look at the triangle. We can say, hey, I understand that because I understand that this square does this in relation to its environment, and this triangle does the same thing too. So that's my understanding of it. It's like it's another concept, if you will, from a square to a triangle, but it's the same. Being aware that they're both a function of their total environment. So yeah.
Okay. So the environment, like, limits how much you can understand what's in it. Is that close to what you're saying?
What was your question?
I'm saying, so the environment is like the limits of how much we can understand what's in it, right? So when you said that example of like the square and its environment, right? So I was thinking, okay, so where the square is, right, is defining what the square is. Did I get that right, or did you mean it in a different way?
I think the way I understood it was subject to his background. It's always going to be, it needs to basically have to have a background to be seen. It's kind of what I got from it.
Right, because I totally, the idea of the environment is huge, right? Because we are in the environment, and when we want to understand, for example, human psychology, even human biology, we're considering, for example, evolution, which is like an adjustment to the environment, right? But now the thing is, if the environment is limitless, right? If it's an infinite environment, like it doesn't finish, right? It's just endless, right? Or it's just endlessly changing. Is there even a possibility to understand something that's changing? You know, that's like a very...
It's never changing. As soon as we find the top, you can never get to the top of it, I don't think. There's always going to be something more. whatever.
Right.
That's what quantum promises anyway.
So, right. So Lorna, let's go to you after Lemon, and Lemon, you can say as much as you want, and then either say finish or open it up to questions or ask a question from people.
Okay. Yeah, I was my understanding that I was trying to convey with this would be that, yeah, the square drawn on the paper might have, you can go in infinitely close and look at it on an atomic, on a particle based level, or you can look at it as a wave, like as a function, as a wave. Because if we take for example, like uh any element, we can change any element to be another element just based off of how it's vibrating, and vibrations are like waves. So in my example, it's like all of these waves are intricately connected to one another, and you take that square on the piece of paper, you can say, okay, it has the vibration of a square because I can see it. It has four sides, and we know that because it's background. It tells us that it's a square. Like, we can't, without the background, there's no form. Everything is formless. And we understand that it's a square because the background is formless. So it's like a blank page, and we can understand that a triangle equally is similar in this it has the same kind of like anything, really, anything in life, anything that you can see that's not part of the background, it stands out to you, it pops out, and it's like that's a candle, that's a tree. So that's, I would say there's an understanding, and that you can look around, you can say, okay, I understand this is a tree because I can see my hand, or I can see the sky behind it. So it's a understanding and awareness are like a function of one another. They serve as a function of one another, but they're very similar in a way, because they're within the same field, like within the same kind of like field of theory, a field of like of just beingness. So yeah, I would like to close the mic at this. If anybody has questions.
Do you mean like refracting light kind of thing? Is that what you're?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Have you ever like thought about the world being a hologram, like, and what that is? I just recently kind of looked into that, and it's kind of like what you're saying, I think, because it's the light. I mean, every image is light. It's a light vibration type of. I'm just getting into it, but I understand why they think, well, not think, but why they say we would be a hologram. The way they explain it, it just beams of light that refract off of things, because light's invisible until it hits something completely. You'd see it with lasers. And then with white light, being the sun and everything, it's refracting off of something to create a staticky image or line or square that we, I don't know, construct somehow. I don't know how it works, but it's all light, it's weird.
Yeah, in a way, the square and the triangle, they don't mean nothing on their own. They're just squiggly lines on a piece of paper. But if we
Right.
if we compare them, we can say, oh, this has three sides, this has four sides. But we only
Yeah.
know that based off of the total field that they share, which is a piece of paper, the background that they share. But we know that we're aware, and we understand that they're two different shapes. But we have awareness of both of them at the same time. But
Oh,
you know,
I like that.
So I was thinking of something interesting. So you said something interesting, that you said like awareness and understanding, they're like codependent, right? So I was thinking it makes sense. I mean, our understanding's limited to what we're aware of, but when we understand something, let's say something new, it changes our awareness, right? So would you say that awareness and understanding are like endless? Like they can, based on like, Like they can, I mean, we are, I mean, we can't say it's endless because we're like a limited biological being. But I'm thinking if we weren't, so that would mean endless understanding, right? Just endless expansion of awareness.
Absolutely. But one stage at a time, one generation at a time, one reincarnation at a time.
Right.
Right.
I don't know the way I see. I don't know. I won't jump in because it's not. Oh, he's stopping my book. It's kind of like an ongoing relationship, I would think. To understand something, it's going to be ever changing. Everything's going to be ever changing. So, and evolving and growing. I mean, anything that sits still goes rotten. So, at least in anything that's alive, and this whole universe seems to be alive. So, everything recycles and moves. But so I don't know. I think you awaken to different levels of awareness. It's like you awaken to this kind of life, but there's levels to this kind of life too, and it's you awaken to old sayings that now mean something deeper to you. You know what I mean? You have these like epiphanies or whatever. You kind of be parallel with it, but and then to understand it would be the full-blown just relationship with that, and then you have another awakening kind of awareness. And then now you're aware of it. Like you don't know what you know till you know it. You don't know what you know. Don't know. It's boom, wow. You hear stupid stuff you learn all the time, but then every now and then it just smacks you in reality. And you're like, wow, I didn't know my whole life all about that simple thing that would have benefited my life so much if I'd known that. You know what I mean? It's just how did I miss that my whole life? It's amazing. So that's
more.
So.
I have a more closer example of what I was saying, and it just came to my mind. I feel excited about sharing, but it's imagine you're a painter, right? You're a painter. You're gonna paint a picture. You're gonna draw something, and you're painting. You have to paint the trees, the birds. You're painting a landscape, whatever. You're painting the trees, the birds, the ground. Now you're aware as a painter. You have to be aware and understand that you can't just paint the trees. You also have to paint the background, because the background is equally as important as the trees, because it gives depth. The sky gives depth to the trees. It allows you to understand, okay, this is how big this is in proportion. Yeah.
3D thing.
And you're aware that without the background, you can't necessarily, it's just a blob. It's just a formless figure, like a standalone bush or a tree or a yeah. So they paint the whole entire background because they understand that without the background it's just a bland painting. It's just a stick. It's just a line on a canvas, if you will. So it's equally as important to have both and not just one.
And then what about vertical and lower, up and down? You need that for the 3D too. If you want to talk literal. Because then you're going to be 2D, which is background and picture. It's like a photograph. And then you add background, but you can do that with blurring, but not still. And then you need height and depth for 3D. So now you need two more sides to paint. I break things down, really break them down.
I was thinking that like there are a lot of examples that a person can be aware of something but still not understand it, right? So what would that mean about awareness? How would that change the definition of awareness, right? So our awareness is limited, but our understanding can be limitless.
No, I think the awareness is still unlimited too, because you're constantly being, how can you know everything? And everything you learn something to helps you in so many things that you didn't know it would help you in until you were aware of it, if that makes sense. Like literally in life, like you don't realize, wow. And you'll say, wow. And they're just little stupid things, but wow. And then all of a sudden you see it just open up doors that you didn't even know that there were doors, more or less, to be opened. And you just see it open and advance things in your, at least for me, like my thinking and things would go like a step higher. Like, you know, one day at a time means this, but then wow, it means something else. And then wow, it means, you know what I mean? And then, you know, just stupid little sayings that are everywhere, you know. You see how they're stuck around. It's a trick with layers. So I think each layer is like a new awareness.
Right. One thing before we go to the next speaker, I was just thinking, like, we have what do you call it? Have you guys heard of Aristotle, the four causes, where he says we know something is there, right, based on its design, so its shape, right? Then we know something based on its material level, and then another reason for its cause could be like who made it, and another reason would be for what is it made for, like its meaning is for something else, right? So I was thinking, like, how could that tie into what we're talking about here, right? Because right now I'm sitting in this moment, I'm aware, but when I look at it, it's like I'm aware of all the things I don't know. Plus, there is like different levels of the mind, right? There's the conscious, the subconscious, the collective unconscious, right? So could it be that our awareness is limited to it's like it's limitless, it's just consciousness, conditional, and there's so many things that people could already understand, but it's not brought to the conscious mind, right? So anyways, I thought I should share that. Maybe you could open up the discussion now. Who would like to go next? Grunt, Lorna.
I do like how you said, like, you're here in the moment and you have awareness. I feel like awareness is limited to its source, like meaning like you right now, me right now in the moment, being aware, but then understanding that this moment is evolving through conversation, evolving to the next moment. But we're aware here in this moment, but don't completely understand the moment because it's unfolding.
Right. And you know, something that could be a bit like, I don't want to say frightening, but like a bit strange, is that if it's like a very like you know how, for example, we're attempting to understand the universe, right, our universe, and then we start from like the planet, then like the solar system, then we went to the galaxy, then it's like something more than that. It just keeps getting bigger, right? So I think it's like, could it be understanding is like endless? It's like this giant river, and we're drinking. Our awareness is allowing us to have a limited understanding of it. Do you know? As if we can't drink the whole river, but we can take a part of it and then claim that as our, you know, our conscious understanding, but our unconscious understanding and the potential of that is like infinite, you know? Because like how many things are there to understand in this world, right? When you think about it, it's like endless things, right? That's like the whole effort of the educational system. It's branched out knowledge, and so there's endless ways you can zoom in, zoom out, and try to understand things. But I don't think it has a limit, right? So I think actually, if it's like a limitless thing, it may be impossible to truly understand, and we're just taking away something. We're just getting our part of it and claiming that as understanding. So I'm saying it could be that there is no real understanding. You know, there is like limited conditional understanding.
I always thought that that was the fun part about all this was discovery. One of the fun parts, besides emotions and stuff, at least for a 3D experience. So they call it like awareness being in the now, in the 3D now, like not with your inner realms, not with, I mean, it could be defined, if whatever the definition goes into who's ever head when they hear that word aware, you know? Everybody has their own encyclopedia that's been developed. But it could mean, you know, but I think the main thing is to experience the 3D because we're here. And it's
So Lorna, what is your view on awareness, what that means to you, and understanding what that means to you? And how do you see, is there a difference between them? Are they parts of each other? What's your view on that?
you put me back. Okay, bringing me back to that, to the focus. Good. I don't know. I do. I from my understanding today, because it's also ever changing, and I expect it to be, because I don't ever want to find out everything. I don't think you ever could, but I wouldn't want to anyway. But kind of takes the fun out of it. Understanding is kind of like a verb, you know. It's the action word. It's something that's you're going to be doing forever. To understand something, if everything's ever changing, then our beliefs are even that. Mine have changed 180 degrees in the past 5-6 years, you know. So I am free willy to. I mean, it's never. I've been afraid, at least the first couple of years, afraid of it tipping back and showing me everything's wrong. But it's only gotten really strong. So my understanding has gotten stronger, but it's subject to change. My awareness, maybe awareness can't be changed so much. I mean, you can get new awarenesses. I mean, but then you bring it back to awareness being in the moment right now. See, and then that's a whole different definition. And you just stop right there because it's enjoying the moment right now. And that makes more sense because that's 3D. Or is awareness supposed to be an inner realm thing? Ooh. Let's not bring complications to it, though. So, if awareness is being in the moment of what you're doing, putting purpose behind it, creating, help being co-creator, blah, blah, blah. And understanding it is maybe a general form that we can only wrap our heads around because it is ever-changing. So understanding is kind of okay, I understand if I do these things, positive things will come from it. So I keep doing these, but you don't know what positive things are going to come from it, but you know that you're going to get good feeling stuff, you know, or something to that effect, or bad feeling stuff. I mean, what kind of person, whatever you are. So maybe understanding is just kind of a thing where you're understanding something. So you're like a kid, he understands that if they cry, they're going to get picked up, or they'll get picked up in a treat, or if they kick and cry real good, they get, you know, $1. I don't know, I'm just saying. That's maybe an understanding, kind of general, but he may not know what kind of treat he's going to get, but he'll get a treat nonetheless. That's kind of an understanding that I understand. The action word.
Right, you know. So, you know, that was a great example you brought, Lorna, of like children, right? So children, they're aware of their environment, but they don't understand it, right? And then what happens to like the development of a child that it begins understanding, right? It goes and experiences stuff in the environment. It engages its environment, but I think it also, right now I'm seeing it also needs memory. It needs to have a reference system, right? So we can say, if you're looking at something, maybe it's like, what's that?
Yeah, even like when they do that with the rats, like that positive thing that they learn patterns to do, to repeat things, you know, repeat behaviors to get certain responses back. just what you were saying.
Yeah.
I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, I should have.
Yeah. You know, like the child has to go get experiences. Its experiences add extra memories or references, right? Then the combination of those references suddenly makes sense, right? So imagine you're looking at a car engine, right? You don't understand it, but suddenly you understand one part of it, then you understand another part, then you understand how all those parts are working together, then you've understood, for example, a car engine, right? So I think it's that it could be a journey into different levels of experience, which are maybe showing more angles of how something works. And then above all, like the person has to put the framework in language, right? Language is like our greatest tool.
It's
right?
not
Right
just
now.
angles, though. There's depth too. Yeah, there is depth too. You got to bring in the depth and the height too. That's got to be involved because I don't know, that just makes sense. Like there's different angles, but there's depths of angles. I think that's where the awareness might be, the depths of angles, and then the understanding part. The depths, the heights and depths, like how, and then the angle. Yeah, I would definitely add I don't know how to put that in there, but besides the fact that awareness would be the height, and then am I breaking it down too much? And then the understanding would be the side to side, type of thing. This is how my brain works things out, though. It's weird. It sounds like Lemon's in a restaurant.
Oh, actually, I was just walking around in a gym. Just using the restroom.
Why you're going to the gym now? How many days a week you going?
Oh, no, I was just passing by it. Just to use the restroom.
Hey, Star,
I didn't know my mic was on.
Do you like to live like vicariously through the gym members? Just look in through the window?
Well, I just happened to be right by it, and I need to use the restroom, so I just stopped by. But yeah.
Kinds of crap from that one, aren't you? That's
If gym is on the way, might as well use it, no?
Anybody
Yeah.
jump in? I'm just kind of winging it, so I'm not really, my opinion is subject to change at any moment. So if anybody feels inclined to jump in, just have fun with it.
Yeah. So we're going in turns, right? Everybody has like the microphone, and they can share as much as they want. So when we have the microphone,
I didn't mean it that way. I meant it like, if you want to jump in while it's my turn, like to say something right now because I'm done.
Okay. Lorna, I have a question for you, right? So, for example, when it comes to, let's say, a shamanic way, or let's say a psychedelic approach. So, are people trying to understand something from the beyond? Or are they trying to expand their awareness of it? Do you know? Or is their awareness of reality limited, so they're trying to use that as a method to understand? What do you think of that?
Well, that's where the levels come in, like the levels of awareness. You can have a lot of understanding, but only have a couple levels of awareness to understand. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see the depth, and some people don't. I don't think everybody out there in the world goes and looks to heal their inner self and looks to expand their mind and see what else is there. They're more into going, I mean, I don't know. I'm speaking from what I see around me is I see people going to work and their heads are down and they're buying that next sparkly thing and going to work, and then they put their head up and they're 50 and they're going, holy crap, I got to retire soon. And then now they're 60 and, it's just crazy. They just live into now, instant gratification, kind of impulse control issues up the butt. There are a bunch of children out there. But
Yes, by compulsion. Yeah.
they have awareness of, like, you got someone who's streetwise versus someone who's, educated or whatever you want to call it. Now, one wouldn't survive in the other place, kind of thing. But they're two different levels of awarenesses, and their awarenesses are two different. They could be just what are they exposed to, is going to bring whether or not they're going to even be fascinated or even exposed to that way of thinking. I know guys that, oh, my mouth just wants to drop, but they were so much better than their parents were. So they're a really good parent in their mind, which they are compared to their parents. You know what I mean? But you can't sit up there in royalty and judge someone who was brought up by literally Hell Danger biker gang. You know what I mean? Literally, and he's doing way better than his parents did. You know what I mean? Way better. And you can't sit there and say he's a bad parent compared to somebody who's so-called civilized. And my jaw would drop just because of some things that would be said and this and that. But he's not harming the kid. Yeah, he's going to bruise his personality a little bit, probably quite a bit. But that's I just didn't put myself in there, and I didn't want to judge any of that because I don't know anything compared to besides my own life, and experience. But I'm getting drifted. But yeah,
I'll be back in 20 minutes. Sorry.
It's just levels of it, you know what I mean? And he's improving, his line. He's improving, but I'll say things and they're like, wow, yeah. Oh, I never thought about that. It's like, really? I don't know. There's levels of awareness. There's levels of awareness. So I think the understanding part, you just don't have people out there really wondering about this stuff so much.
Right. Okay.
Did I answer your question at all? I kind of got sidetracked.
Yeah. No. You, the answer I took out of it is that there's different levels of it. So people are trying to access different levels of awareness, which could lead to different levels of understanding, right? Because for example, there's an intellectual way of understanding something, then there's an emotional way of understanding something, what we call empathy, right? So that means it's like when somebody else is crying, you can understand in that moment, like they're sad or they're upset, right? You may not understand why they're upset, but you can at least understand something's happening, right? Like on an emotional level, and then there's just like, you can ask them, hey, what's wrong, and then understand it intellectually what's going on there, right? But
still all
I guess
in the understanding blanket, yeah. That's why it's kind of ever changing. Yeah, that's what you mean by that's all under the understanding blanket you're talking right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's and it's like, you see, the more something becomes multidimensional, the more we can see like counter meanings to things. So something in one state of perception means something, and then in another state of perception it could mean something else.
Yeah. That's the up and down.
Yeah. So now we can go to the next speaker, Starve or Grunt. The topic is, what is the difference between awareness and understanding? And you guys can take the mic and then share away.
Yeah, I don't think there are different level of understanding or of awareness. For you're aware of it or you're not, right? As simple as that. Because the body that we have and everything, right, works instantaneously, right? Like light, right? Immediately you see or you don't see. Right? It's not like you understand it. It's just like light. So, okay, both
Okay. so so right, right. So right now, so is understanding something more than just being aware? Because see, like we're aware right now, right? We're aware of the world right now. Like I'm aware that there's a world here. I'm on this planet, like rock in the middle of nowhere, right? But when I want to understand it, it feels to me it's like there's more dimensions that I haven't seen yet, right? So it's as if even though I'm aware of like the event of the world, I don't feel like I understand it, right? So could it be that awareness is limited understanding, and then the understanding can go way more than the first way you're aware of something? So how would you perceive that relationship, or what's your view? Star, you want to take the microphone and just take it as your turn?
Sorry, what was your last? You interrupted at the last second there.
I was pretty much saying is the first way we're aware of something, right? Why are we just by being aware? Like right now, I'm aware of the world, and but why is there an urge to understand it, right? So to me, it felt like awareness of something is like a limited understanding, the first awareness you have of it. So I wanted to see what your opinion is on that. Is there a way that they're different? Do you see a difference in them, or are they the same? And if they are,
awareness. Yeah, well, awareness and understanding means first of all, you're capable of, so it's about perception and listening, right? So first implies listening, right? Awareness implies you're aware of it, so means you're listening.
Star, you're inaudible. I can't hear you. It's muffled.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So awareness, understanding implies listening, right? So you're aware of something. Once you're aware of it, you basically don't do any effort to understand anything. It's the other thing that you have, not with the mind is something true, right? But you have other things which you don't have to even think about, or you're not aware of. Like, for example, you're not aware of how it's functioning, but you're aware of some things. So it's not like, of course, most of it's a mystery, but I mean, basically awareness and understanding, I don't know how, it's basically the same thing. Or unless you mean intellectual understanding, which is that's not understanding. There's just, you know, I don't know how to call it. I wouldn't call it understanding.
Right. I would say the intellect is a tool we use to understand. Right. It's as if
I don't think so.
then okay, then for example, if you see an airplane engine, you're aware of it, right? But then how would you understand it?
Yeah,
Right?
you
That
keep
seems to be
observing.
more, there needs to be something more, right? Like after you see it, you're like, okay, this does this piece does that piece does this.
Exactly.
They work together, the system works this way. So that's like the intellect's compartmentalization, like the tool of the intellect to kind of pinpoint different components of it and how they're working together. to function, right?
Yeah, but it does nothing but only all this knowledge. You understand something like, for example, just a fact. You know, the first, like the most on top of the list, the wrong
Can you speak closer to the microphone?
Oh yeah,
Your
yeah,
voice
sorry.
is it goes back and
You know?
forth. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, on top of the list of the wrong diagnosis, most vets is, I mean, it's this one, a wrong diagnosis, because everybody's a specialist, right? Like the doctors, and they treat you big like shit. You have what they have, but they never look at the total, at the human being, that they cannot, right? They are burdened with all this. They're experts, right? One area. They refuse to look further than that, right? So that's why misdiagnosis is the first question. Why is that? Because as you were saying, you have a brain, right? You have some, like, you have a problem, right? So once you have all this knowledge in your head, and you look at those odds, you look, everything you see as a problem, right? So your perception is never open to see everything. You learn new things, so solutions should come into your mind. But because you look at everything as a problem and you're looking for a solution, then you need all this knowledge. It only drags you down. It creates friction. You're either aware of things, you're ready for the new learning, to see new things, and you can. And of course, you don't have to really effort. You'll immediately, once you're aware of the parts in your mind, the solution will come, right? Once you're aware of all this fact,
Right. So that's, see, I agree with that. This is like the challenge of this topic, right? Because if you're not aware of something, how can you even see how it works to understand it, right? So there needs to be awareness. But the thing is, like, have you heard that quote from Albert Einstein where he says, "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it."
exactly
That means
what
it's
I
like,
was saying.
go on.
No, you go on.
Yeah. So I was just saying that it's like, and Lorna was saying levels of awareness, right? So it's like the first way you see something, it's true. You have to be aware. Like the mind is that awareness. So there has to be something looking at it, right? And they say, what was it? Friedrich Nietzsche says, if there's no one in a forest and a tree falls, the tree falls. So there has to be some awareness to notice the thing it wants to understand. So I see that as like the awareness is it has to be there, because then it's like, what are you looking at, right? So there is awareness, but then there's levels of it that change. So it could be that awareness and understanding are the same, but the awareness has to change, and then the understanding comes, right? That means the first way you were aware of something, right, it wasn't complete, like you didn't understand what you were looking at, then something happened, you still became more, let's say there was still awareness, you became more aware of it, right, and then suddenly the understanding came, right? So what would that imply to you, Starter, about awareness? Is it change? So it changes, it has to change. So changing awareness is understanding, and then just like just like a string that's endlessly going, we just cut a part of it and say, okay, this is my understanding, right? But the awareness can go endlessly. So is awareness, how do you define awareness? Are you with us, Starfire?
Anyone, feel free to interrupt.
No worries. It's still like you have the microphone. You could say whatever you want, and then you can either say I'm done and open it up to questions or whatever you like in that sense. Okay. So we can put a pause when Starf comes back. We can continue. So we can go to Bob, Hope Nation, or Zephyr. The topic is, what is the difference between understanding and awareness, and just what do those terms mean to you, and it's like, what is your insight on them? So who would like to go next? Can you guys hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
in and out. No problem.
Okay. Would any of you like to take the microphone and share with the group?
Nobody else is going to go, then I'll go. I just was waiting because I wanted to be polite, you know. Is that cool? Anybody else?
Yeah. No, it's fun. Everybody's going to get their turn. Everybody will get the microphone.
Whether they like it or not.
Depends on the awareness and understanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, take
So
it
the
away.
question is, what is the difference between awareness and understanding, in my opinion?
Yes.
There is no difference,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I think there definitely is a difference. Awareness is like just being able to see something doesn't imply that you understand it. I think there's observation, which comes between awareness and understanding. And even then, it's like very imperfect usually. I mean, you have to do more than just be aware of something and observe it. You have to interact with it and like test the outcomes of your interactions and like add it all up before you can understand something. And even then, it's probably still, there's more to it than you even know. It's because like there's so many things that like are so much deeper than just an object, that like what's it made of, and you know, like how strong is it, and all these other factors that you would have to add up before you understand it, like fully understand it. But I mean, that's just my opinion. That's pretty much the answer to that question for me.
Right. Now, I've in regards to, if you change the context to like an infinite, like landscape, or or a multi-dimensional setting where it's like maybe in one dimension there, like before you guys joined, I said this thing that I feel to the body and mind, awareness and understanding are different, but I think beyond like the mind, in like a lot of these mystical traditions, they talk about how it's pure awareness, right? So it's as if, are we moving towards something where, let's say from a mystical sense, are we going towards somewhere where it's like the understanding and awareness are going to be the same, and now they're different, or is it do those words change in meaning in different dimensions or something? What do you think about that?
I was just watching this. I posted something in general, I think, and it was basically talking about how the third industrial revolution, and about how like the empathetic sense in people, especially the younger generation, is like more highly developed, and we're moving towards that. And that's like a different sort of emotional understanding of feelings of others. And we're like right now we're in a period where we're adjusting to the collective, like having some people are still totally not connected to that, not aware of it, and others are like aware of it, but they don't have any discernment in that awareness of knowing what is their feelings and what are other people's feelings. And then there are some people that are at a different level of awareness where they can just tell the difference between their feelings and other people's feelings, and they can still feel for them and keep it somehow compartmentalized as what is mine and what is yours. And they're better able to navigate through that, having the higher level of understanding.
That's epic. So, can I add too? How y'all doing? Greetings.
Just fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Great, sure.
So, okay, so let me make sure I'm getting it right. Awareness. What was the other one?
Understanding.
Understanding. Thank you. So, what I've come to the most deepest understanding, it depends if you perceive yourself as human or if you see yourself as more of a multi-dimensional data stream. Because when you're in the perception of being human, then you only have a limited perspective or corporeal information that you can attune to. When you go more into the multidimensionality that you were naturally born to be, then you have that unlimited cache from this planet or any other planetary systems that are connected in the magnificence of the galactic federations. And when you go to that deeper level and you connect to whatever that is through that understanding, then it's really through the framework of your environment. So growing up or your family ties or any of these bias, what's the other one? Bias,
Programming.
creed, any of these things. Exactly, right? Processing any of this stuff. So all the environment has a completion to that sort of deeper understanding. And then on top of that, when you have the awareness, where is the awareness attuned to? Is it attuned to the heart? Is it tuned to the mind? Is it attuned to the body? Is it attuned to the fields outside of itself, like the outer worlds or the outer mapping? Is it tuned into the inner mapping, the inner worlds? Or is it tuned to a harmonics of the bioholographic simulation that we're all plugged into? So it's really up to us to see whether or not the awareness is through the lens of source or through the lens of just being human. And that's really where I've learned that for the domination of the last little ditch efforts that's going on globally, that's really us tapping into ourselves on the grandest of scales, yet we're in this body or this physical pillar of light, yet is emanated from eons and light years away, and even more in reality itself. So when we're tuning into not only the understanding as awareness or awareness as the understanding, then we can come more to that sort of avatar or Rishi or Christ or Buddha consciousness, or God consciousness, and it becomes more of a creation with the limitless potential that's already around us and within us. And if we're not following our joy or our bliss or that consciousness, so to say, then we're always going to be in that sort of transurfing of like crazy waves. When you're just streamlining in your own data streams, there's not much anyone or anything can do to divert you from your natural destination, because we're only going back to the origin of source with more of a processing and a mapping of the coherence within different civilizations all taking place while being in a corporeal body. So it's really that deeper meaning of what understanding means to that individual and what the awareness means to somebody, because we can go back and forth forever. Really what it stems back to is the awareness within the heart for myself to have that coherence with all things, nature, people, places, things, because then I'm no longer, I'm the co-creator, I'm the creatrix of the creatress magic. Like it's its own flow of neurons and all that good stuff. So yeah.
I love everything you just said. It's great.
I can keep going on, but there's many of us, and I just came to say hello, and I'm so stoked to be here.
Yay, me too.
First of all, that was epic. Thank you. So the thing is, like, Zephyr, if you're done, then it could be Hope's turn, and then Hope, you can just keep going as much as you feel content, right? And I
Okay,
also have a
director,
question.
Mr. Conductor, pilot. I love it.
I'm just a man.
I know you're just making the structure. I totally get it. You don't even have to say it. I'm done.
Well, I've learned
Okay.
too, it's really, are we service to self or are we service to others? Oh, and the dog goes wild. Because when we're service to others in the maximum capacity, we will be harvested, right? As we were harvested to come here. Because not every soul can awaken at this time. Some decided to sleep. So it's really up to us whether or not we're going to be the conductor or the orchestration of that divine, or whatever you want to call it, quantumness that is around us every day.
I have a question then. Do you think that it's possible to do both simultaneously?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dog's going wild right
Cool.
now because he knows what I'm talking about. He's like, oh my God, there's
Say hi.
people,
Hi,
there's
puppy.
energies here. Like, he's
I
in
love
his own world.
doggos.
But that's the thing, though. He's a second density being. So we're all beings. Same with cats. There's third density. They're so intelligent. And like us, we've been rocketed
I have a
into the
herd
fourth,
of
fifth,
cats.
sixth. Oh, don't even get me started with pussy titties. I am so done with cats. Okay.
I have four kitties and one of them's pregnant, so yeah, I
Oh,
get it.
don't even get. I won't even go there. Yeah, because that's a whole nother story for another day, and it has nothing to do with awareness or understanding, but it did teach me a lot. Hi, sweetie. How are you doing? Okay, I'll be back.
I think she's saying she's done for a minute.
Let me call the conductor. Yeah.
Do you have to call yourself? What?
I'm just shouting at a can and waiting to hear the echo. No. What's that? One thing. I mean, I'll restate it when Hope comes back. I was just thinking, in like a lot of Vedanta, there's a talk of like illusion, right? And I think it was Lorna who brought up simulation, Lorna Hope, or someone who brought up the idea of simulations, right? So if it's a simulation and we're trying to understand it, could that mean all our understanding is like meaningless? Like we're not actually understanding anything in an illusion, right? And only awareness, like is awareness superior to understanding in that scenario, right? That means it's like in history we see a lot of moments where people understood something, then they realized they made a mistake, then their understanding changed, right? And then their awareness, I would say, would change in that sense too. So I'm just thinking, if there was the concept of an illusion or a simulation, how would understanding and awareness relate to that?
Ooh, I could say something about that.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, awareness is like where you choose to focus, point your perception, basically, is what that's the general gist of or understanding of awareness. Because you can have understanding of awareness, and you can be aware of understanding, but like to have both simultaneously. This is like a key, and so basically, where you choose to focus your awareness is what you will understand in the moment of now. And that is constantly changing from one now to another now to another now to another now. And it's always changing. So I think that your understanding evolves as you continue to focus your awareness in a certain direction. And you can also be laterally aware, like have peripheral attention on other things, and you'll understand them still, but like maybe a little less specialized, as Starv was saying, because there's a lot of hyper focusing. Like people are very specialized in what they understand, and yeah, I like want to bring up what he was talking about like say a doctor or whatever. They have like this generalized understanding, and it's very specific, but it's very like it's a broad brush. You know, it's a specific field, but a broad brush applied to that specific field, and it doesn't always take into account like these little glitches or individual quirks of people that make things like vastly different for each of us. That's all.
Right. You know, I was just thinking of something that was like, it's a bit, I'm trying to, it's like a bit, like strange. Okay, here, I'll say it. It's like, so, Hope was saying something about we're source, like we can be the source, right? So imagine we're somewhere right now where we don't know, let's say that we are the source, or we don't know the source of it, right? So we are all our understanding is just there to try to understand, like, okay, what's the source? Why is it all here, right? But if we are the source, then what are we understanding? So does that mean that the moment we realize we are the source, let's say, whether energetically or metaphysically, spiritually, right? If you understand you're the source, then does that mean there is no more understanding? So understanding is like like the source trying to remember its source.
That is a great point. I'm back now. So can I add to that? Because you were on a really great point there.
Sure.
Okay, so you were talking about how we come back to remember the origin of source, right? The source within us, the light of God, so to say, or source or creator, however you want to perceive it. And once you acknowledge that completely, right? How you were talking about spiritually and all the rest. Well, if you think about it, we're made up of a multi spectrum, multi-dimensional, multiverse complex. So what happens is the mapping then starts to understand to the deepest, most parts of the origins, not on just a spiritual level or metaphysical or any of that stuff. It goes through every single one of them. However you want to label it, regardless of labels, everything has its own direction point. And once we anchor ourselves with Gaia, like Mother God, Father God, and the innocent, so to say, or however you want to perceive it, there's many different values to it. It's then anchoring that energy. And then what happens is then the understanding becomes like a deeper part of the connection of why your soul came to evolve. Not only in the first place, but in all places, in any time-space continuum or any space-time continuum, or unlimited space in the unknown. So I just want those totally sweet points.
So when you, let's say when we figure out we are the source, or you get to the source, is that the end of understanding? So is that like
But
the
depends
moment we figure
what
it
level
out,
you
there's
perceive
nothing
it.
else left to understand?
No, because you're just in a state of
What's that?
being. You're just a state of being, like a state of light, a state of unconditional love. So, like, for
You're
example,
one part of it, right?
well, you one aspect, absolutely. Now, when you say part, you think it's separate, but yet in all actuality, it's an aspect. It's
It's
just
not.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no separation because everything is a continuation, so to say, or an evolution, right? Like, for
Exactly
example,
what I was saying. Yeah. Awareness is understanding.
indeed. And then it goes deeper than that, though, because you can have that awareness of the understanding of, hey, I'm God. I'm the localized version of the logos in physical form, right? And you can emanate that light, and you can be that unconditional love. Yet, really, do you concede to your most inner self, the innocence of who you are naturally born to be, and then emanate that, and then in the embodiment of sovereignty?
Yeah. So can you understand something you're not aware of? So understanding is only
Absolutely. Oh, can I give you an
okay.
example?
Yeah,
Okay.
go on. Go on.
So when you do you drive?
Yeah, I
Like,
did. Yeah.
okay, perfect. So you know when you stick that key in that ignition and you
Yep.
turn it over, you just know it's
Uh-huh.
gonna spark, right?
Yeah.
Unless something's
Yeah.
going on with the car and you're somewhat conscious or aware of it, but you're not quite sure what it is, that will always turn over. And that's like our DNA, regardless of what's going on globally. That's like our DNA. Once we activate that one genome of like, wow, there's more to me than just a body, so to say, or there's more to me than just the unknown, or wow, there's more to me than just these human connections. And then you go deeper in that, like a car. If you want to get to the brakes, you got to take off the tires. You want to get to the axle, you got to take off the brake, right? So that's the thing with the body is we are these vessels, we are these conduits, and once you kind of either peel on the layers or peel off the layers, however you perceive it, depending on how you receive it, then you're able to just know that that spark has already been lit, and now it's the matter of you paving that path with that highest and greatest version of you. Not that you want to see, that you are right now. Because when you want something, you're giving off the opposite vibration. When you already are that and have that, then you emanate that vibration.
Yeah. So
I like
you don't have to understand how the car works. I mean, I guess okay. We have to yet to speak some more so we can clarify exactly what role understanding has. And I think understanding it's like you can understand how limited you are, and then just so you can see the dust on the mirror. So then, then so so you understand basically that there is only you're aware of. For example, you're aware you cannot. Okay, so you're aware of how the car works, right? Or the body. Let's say the body is that car is the body, and you're aware of certain things. And basically, you don't have to do nothing to understand anything. You just have to be aware, and then because we are in communion with this whole thing, right? It's not like you're separate, right? You're also not separate from the environment. You're part of this whole thing. Your body right now is breathing. It's connected to this thing. So you're interconnected, right? We are interconnected to this. We, there's no separation. So you can only come up with this understanding. How to call it? This understanding term. You can only come up with it when you have a mind to to make up such things like emotions, for example. You can feel, but we start naming these feelings. Same. we start learning the language, I think we should focus more on I think we should go deeper into this, like how limited is our communication. Even though we're speaking about advanced communication, but we should just more and more discover how that's really interesting. I cannot really speak on what I want to say right now, but okay, maybe next time or maybe later. But
I totally get what you're trying to say without you even saying it. So yeah, you're good.
Me too.
Well,
I
Yeah.
just want to add something. So Hope gave an incredible example of like the DNA, right? So when you look at, for example, what is it, like a baby deer, right? A baby deer being born, the moment it's born, it genetically understands how to run. It knows how to stand, right? It already before consciously understanding, it's like born with the understanding already in its genetics, right? So in that case, it's like before it's aware, it understands, or it has that potential understanding, right? So that would be an example, I think, where there's understanding before awareness genetically, though.
Good
how
show.
that's knowing.
How can it be understanding before awareness? That's impossible.
Bro, it's genetic. It's the body knows. Its mind doesn't know yet. It doesn't know where it is. It hasn't experienced running. It has experience running, but the baby deer is born knowing how to run. Like it already knows how to move itself, right? Like did we have like
But this
like
baby deer that you're saying, I'm not sure if we can even say that because it's a process, like it's working together. Like I was saying, like you don't exist alone here, right? You're connected to these other things. Like you couldn't even breathe right now. You couldn't exist without the air that your body is continuously communicating with the environment, right? And we don't know exactly what's in this air that we call air, right? It's ether, it's some other things and how they function. It's continuously changing how the, you know. So
Right.
it's a process. We have to look more carefully, I think, because there are many things we're just not looking at. We're just avoiding. We're not aware of.
Right.
Now we're trying to
One
understand, but so many things we're not aware of.
So a good
another
movie you're
example.
explaining. So can I give you a show actually? It's called Sweet Tooth. I just watched it, and what you're explaining is
Oh, I
exactly
love
what
that.
it talks about. Yeah, I couldn't get into it at first, and then I got right into it, and it really helped you understand the deeper meaning between nature and nurture. The boy was taken when a virus broke out and taught to learn by the land, right? The father passed away of the virus, but it was never actually his papa to begin with. I'm killing the burner out of all the complexes. But what I'm saying here is it genetically doesn't matter where we're from, where for a wanderer, starseed, light waver, way shower, a galactic emissary, an ambassador, any of these labels or vibrations. What I'm saying here is we automatically, when we attune to our hearts, have the intelligence, period, because the brain couldn't operate it because the brain was only a tool to help us with the simulation. And in order to create harmony with the simulation, we have to become heart coherent. And then when we become heart coherent, it's not about understanding or how someone gets it or what they're going to explain. It's your understanding at that compassion level that you have for yourself.
Then it's just living. Then it's just acting. Then it's just life movement. Then you live.
Everything's
There's
alive.
different kind of. Yeah, there's different kind of living.
Just as such a weird word.
You love the
From that 0 point, eye of the storm. You know what's in the middle of the storm? Do you guys know? What's in the middle of the
truth.
storm?
The vortex. The cash.
Nothing.
More answers, Mr. Witte?
Nothing.
No.
I'm saying nothing.
You got it.
Is it?
Say
Is
the
it that?
truth and
Is it
stillness.
nothing?
Okay, in that nothingness, though, in the stillness, there's still the ethers that are all simultaneously connected to everything. Because everything is an entanglement. any star system we come from,
Guys,
any planetary alignment through the understanding.
if I could bring this back to Earth, what would you say about someone who's sleepwalking? Okay, let's say somebody's sleepwalking. They don't have, like, the mind's not aware. They don't know they did it, but they did it, right? They did something. Imagine somebody, they're not, like, they're sleepwalking, like the movie Step Brothers or something, right? So they go and do something, like an action, like, I don't know, like, you know, like throwing gifts in the air or something. Do you know what I mean? So it's like there's something there where there's a level where they're understanding what they're doing, but they're not there. They're not consciously there, right? So there could be that we know how to do things before our persona is conscious of them, right?
Psychosis would
And
be a
it-
good example.
My unconscious is way smarter than me. That's all I got to say about that.
The
Yeah,
unconscious,
but it's
anything we've learned from 0 to 7, amplified.
Say that again, I missed it.
From 0 to 7, we're trained. Either on planet, off planet, both, whatever. And that is our subconscious. Whatever that was from 0 to 7. And then between 7 and 36, that is when the real work begins. So then at the age of 37, it becomes a new dawn of age. Then you become that sort of,
37.
then you become like that sort
That's
of,
cool.
like an angelic sort of, see, I'm not there yet. I hit 33 and I was like, holy God, that was like,
See, I'm 44, and the
Right.
number at the end of my name is 1369, which is 37 squared. So some part of me is very, very knowledgeable.
Absolutely, because what happens is we have the infinite intelligence and the intelligence infinity. And once we come in that 0 point, and then in the nothingness, so to say, or the stillness, we become present within the completion of all that we are naturally, as our natural essence, our true nature.
You're a source of light.
Yeah.
Exactly, the pillar.
The
I have a
pillars.
question.
Or I call it portals, because we are the portal of light. We don't wait for them. We are them.
It is important.
We're the refracting segment of the flow of light.
Is understand. Go on, Lorna. Go on.
No, I just said, yeah, that'd be a way to put it. I was done.
Okay. I just had this question where I was like, is understanding a human, like, is it limited to just the human being? Like, is it that in other dimensions there's no such thing as, like, understanding, there's no self? Like, if it's a dimension where there is no self, then there is no understanding, because it would be like, who is understanding, or what is understanding, right? If it's not a self, right? So it's like it may be, I don't know, what would understanding be if there was no self?
So I call that a query.
Overstanding.
Yeah, I call it a query. It's what happens it's like an inquiry within our data streams. And once we're attuned to that, then the query comes in from whatever frequency we're attuned to. Because then it no longer becomes a thought or a receiving mode. It becomes more of a transmission or a transurfing. It's like going from analog, right, to Wi-Fi or dial-up, sorry. And then from dial-up to Wi-Fi. And then from Wi-Fi to fiber optics. And now fiber optics to, wavelengths that just
Yeah,
emanate
most of the world
Wi-Fi.
is stereo. Analog is the
Right.
like precursor to that. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well,
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, so because it's been analog for so long, we've been tuned into it. But the problem was stuff happened through the time and the ages. And now that we've all come back, not only as the pillars of light or the embodiment of ascended masters, like masters in physical form, then we are able to emanate that between past, present, future, inner, outer. It becomes like a coherent field. So then you
Can
just
I
know.
ask you about
Right?
this word that you keep saying, emanate? Is that like, are you saying it like that on purpose?
Yeah, so
Like,
emanate means, you know when you turn on your headlights, right? And then you got your high beam? That high beam is your emanation. Like your body is
okay, cool. Because I wasn't sure if you were saying it like that on purpose or if it was a
yeah.
linguistic glitch. And I just
Yeah,
wanted to make sure.
yeah,
I love that word.
I use certain words, or another one too is permeate, penetrate, different words, because it depends what we're doing with our light. Are we in the light body, partaking in the orchestration, or are we in our light body to get something for our free will? Both are very different, because if we're governing at free will and
The perfect illusion of free will.
yes, self-will, right? Or self-will, yeah, self-will. Like it's just I'm all about me. Like I'm selfish to the core type thing, right? What
Yeah,
happens is then you're no longer able to come into that sort of aha
space.
moment
Yeah,
or awaken. Well,
the
because
space
the
of
seed has been set
expansiveness.
for you.
Yeah,
Exactly. The seed has been set for everyone. The problem is most have, I call them satch. They've steered away from their multidimensionality. So what happens is when they're no longer connected to that part of them, then what happens is they come down with illness or they come down with this or that. And what happens
they
is
become
because we're not
afraid of
attuning to
things
that,
because it's
yeah,
out of their
governed,
perception, and that
governed by it.
therefore it makes them fearful of it because they don't have an understanding or a connection
Right,
to it.
because
Yeah,
well, and the reason that they don't have the connection is because they're so busy listening to others or giving a fuck what anybody else says or does. And when you live in that sort
absolutely.
of yeah, because when you live in that framework, you can be manipulated, you can be used, you can be taken advantage of. All of these things can happen. And the thing is, though, that good nature that we naturally have never
We do have
veers.
that
Yeah, we never veer from that because that's our golden arrow. I've always
compass.
like
It's our compass.
yeah, the compass. Yeah. I call it the arrow
Hmm.
because we're following our direction. And when we learn what our path is designed to be, the heart already knows, right?
Yeah, well,
Even if
there's
we
another
never
layer to it too. The gut layer is like,
well,
wow, like
so I call that the
nobody
three
hears it.
brains. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's the three brains, the gut, the heart, and the mind. Each are
Yep,
a brain and that operates through the fields. One is the first octave, the second octave, the third octave, and then that's why they say dimension,
yep.
fourth
The
dimension, because
nonagon of three
when you're in
degrees.
harmony, exactly, when you're in harmony with those three, and then it turns on the seeding of the universal consciousness. Some people are like, oh my God, I got to download. Holy shit, this and that, blah, 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 blah. I have to do this and I have to do that. No, us being here, just being present, not having to say anything or do anything is more than enough for the harvest to take place because there is enough seats full on the mother of all motherships that will make sure everybody is complete within the federation, period. Because what happens is we no longer have a bias or a prejudice, so to say. These are human contexts, right? Hypothetically, right? These things,
Hmm.
we no longer carry those on with us when we're tuned into the multidimensionality, right? That's why I didn't want to talk about cats. If I told you my experience about cats, oh my, I'm still trying to process it, okay? I prayed for one thing, don't pray for nothing, because you have to be that vibration. And when you're that vibration, there's no prayer anymore because you are in that communion with God because you are God in physical form or the creation of the origins, whatever that is to you.
You're connected, definitely.
We all are.
I just got a insight. I was just thinking that I think the evolution of understanding is into knowing, right?
Yeah, bro.
Because there is the unknown and the known. It's like the dimensions are separated. It's like there's something veiling our dimension from, let's say, whatever else there could be, right? So that
You'd be
creates a
totally overwhelmed if
picture.
it wasn't, though.
Right,
I
but let
call
me
those
paint the picture.
paradoxes.
So, guys, let me get this out there so I don't lose it. Uh, um, where was I?
You were
I think
saying
it,
veiling. There was a
Oh yeah,
veiling.
I remember. Exactly, yeah. So because there's a known and the unknown, right? There's a journey. There's something to do. Because there's something to do, there's something to understand. So all of it is left to individuality, right? So beyond individuality, where let's say we're all right now on a level in a dimension where we're embodied and we're individuals, even an individual subjective body, your personality, the persona, right? And this, because it's like a small part of the big, it has all the big to understand. It's like all that's left, right? But when it changes that relationship from known unknown, it becomes, I think it becomes total knowing, right? Then there is no need to understand anything. And when that means it's a dimension beyond verbs, beyond actions. It's a dimension of being. There is nothing to do anymore because it's all the knowing. Do you know what I mean? So when I think of like the higher dimensions, right? I mean, there is like in Vedic thought, like they say Indra Loka, the dimension of, they would say, gods between the earth and the sun, right? Where there's like different dimensions between there, and one of that space is called Indra Loka, and Indra was like the god for it. But I would say that's like the whole galactic narrative, right? If there's aliens and extraterrestrials, they would be all in it, Indra Lokas. But there's also a level where it's like it goes beyond individualism, because you got to see some of these yogis were like, why am I endlessly reincarnating here? Like, why am I endlessly appearing as an individual? And we say there's no way out, right? We say there's no way out. It's a simulation, it's an illusion, right? And I'm not saying we say there's no way out, but we have this view that there isn't a way out, right? So maybe the only way out of a simulation built to capture an individual or hold an individual, which is defining by doership, doing things and all that, is being. So I think the next greater evolution is into just being. That means right now we are human beings. That gives the whole doership part, right? Individualism part. But beyond the human, we're like, what am I? I'm just a being. I'm just being. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like like beyond the whole game of life, they say, right? It's like there is no more game. It's just
Right.
and there is no you. That means that, like, what would be the understanding of a collective being knowing all the individual beings, right? So I
So,
feel maybe it's like, can I just say this last thing? Maybe it's
yeah,
like a collective being is extracting itself out of individualism, which is final destination of all consciousness, right? So it's like we think we are individuals going into a higher place, but from another perspective, it's a higher place, remembering there was never a lower place. Do you know? So I feel the superior, pretty much the superior evolution of our understanding is just collective knowing, which would be all knowing. We're literally headed for omniscience.
That higher perspective is what I was saying about overstanding.
yeah, I call it the higher thought. There was a book written anonymously about 70 years ago, and they talk about the higher thought and the higher love. And most definitely I was laughing because it's totally true. Because we connect and anchor to Gaia. So Gaia is a physical being. And then we can anchor to Father Son, which is a physical being. And yet we're all in this simulation. And any one of us, all of us, are all attuned to the simulation as our own codex, as the individualism in the fields. I was actually talking about this today. It's so funny you bring that up. In the individualism or isms has many different degrees, right? So when we're no longer being fixated on a label or a system or even nurture or nature, Then we become more of the conductor, pilot, navigator. It's another word here.
Yeah, then
You know where I'm
you
going.
can call yourself individual, right? Then you're indivisible.
Right. The thing though with that is though, because we come from many space-time continuums, we are anchored to many civilizations, not just humanoids or superhumans. We're connected with bird beings, insectoids, all of these beings in the in the federation of planets. And what's happening is each of us have worked so many time frameworks and so many different planetary evolutions. So even if it wasn't on Earth and it was somewhere else or somewhere else, and it's so true, after a while, you no longer attune to the planet that you're onto. You tune to the frequency that's being emanated by the planet and the being, which then is a simulation and a simultaneous connection with all space-time continuums, regardless of your presence or not, or being or action, right? Because we can do a lot of things action-oriented. That's not really the purpose of it. Oh, and I've been called. I love you all.
One question.
Back at you.
Um, so when let's say we reach that collective being point, then would I'm thinking like what would happen to your memory and the understanding you have? So I'm pretty much saying like our individualism is based on our memory. You become a collective being. It's like what happens to your mind? You guys have any thoughts on it?
No, it's not based on memory. No, being individual is not based on memory. Of course not.
I think your
Then
mind.
how do you know you're an individual then?
No, you just know.
Right, in the outer realms, the body wise, you know, you're of course, you know you're an individual. If you want to know
You're
who you
not,
are,
though. It's like, yeah, you are. Oh, yeah, that's a complicated one. Good question, but I don't know. You're both.
I don't think it's complicated. You just have to be patient because to talk about it. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
I
there's
totally.
so many
It's
questions.
kind of
Go
hard.
on, go on.
It
I
isn't
feel like
complex, but
we are like what there is being. So like what everything that there is, we are that, but beingness, like we're is bees. If you like that's like a new concept. Is bees. What there is, everything that there is, being. So that's all I want to say about that.
that's funny. I have this thing I say, I don't know how to be, or I don't know what be. So people are always telling me to behave, and I don't even know what have is or how to be it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Because you know what? That's another concept. If you say what there is, then that's like everything. But yeah.
It's like a funny riddle. The whole thing is hilarious.
Sorry, what's another concept?
Behaving, you know, like having, what does that even mean? What does it look like to be to behaving?
Yeah, when somebody tells you to behave, like behave. I don't even know what have is.
You know,
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
tell them.
you're, it's a play on words here.
words are like technology. Have you noticed that? Like words can be used to like build a bridge. You can use words to destroy. Words are like I feel like we don't really understand that. Like the words that we use, the words that we think, are like technology in a way. Like we have vocal boxes. Like where did that come from? Like we have the ability to speak to create these vibrations in the air, and these vibrations in the air can like literally make us money. It could like build the world into a better place. We can plant trees. Like everything that we're doing right now requires voice, requires vibration of our vocal cords going out there making sound. So it's like technology in a way. And it's interesting that, words are literally like they're like almost not prophets. I don't know what the word for it is though, but they literally create our reality, and they create the future at the same time.
Yeah, written or
Vibration.
spoken, but the vibration of spoken word is like something totally different. In like I don't know. I'm coming up with like new words because we don't have enough words for all these things that we're trying to explore, and like I came up with like manifesting and manifesting with MANA. See, I'm like backwards because I was thinking manifesting, but there's like all these different directions that we can go with language. But until we get telepathy, I think we're going to have to keep talking. So do you guys have any new words?
I was gonna mention something about the behaving thing. Maybe like at the time it was like because it was probably used in like a learning environment. It was to be receptive, and so if you're like not paying attention, you're not behaving, you're not being receptive.
Yeah, I don't think that's
I
what
don't
they
know.
meant when they said it to me, though.
No, no, not at all. But I think maybe that's like what it was meant to be, like behaving. I don't know.
You're
Just a thought.
probably right. I mean, I have an etymology dictionary. I could probably look it up, and I never have, just because I think it's a funny thing to say, anyways.
Yeah, I'm probably just taking this a little too literal.
Literal, haha.
So, guys, I'm here, but I'm gonna walk to the store, so I'll be listening more. But you guys keep it going.
Cool. So I don't know everybody here now. Who are you? Lemon Lime? I think I've seen you around, but where are you from?
I'm from Texas, United States. Uh,
Cool. I'm in New Mexico.
Been here for a while. Just a philosopher and just a knowledge seeker. Can you guys hear me?
Cool. Yeah, I can hear you. My youngest daughter lives in Houston, so
Hey, was that
And
Hope
where?
Nation? Was that the lady that does that podcast?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay.
She's pretty awesome though. I like totally vibe with
Yeah,
her.
totes.
I think I'm getting every other word. I don't know. My signal's not the best.
I can hear everybody loud and clear. So was there like a consensus on like what awareness and understanding was? Were they the same or were they separate or?
I don't think we came to a conclusion on that yet. I think that awareness is like way more basic than understanding, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think maybe I would agree with that. It's easier to notice things. It's harder to understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah, well, and then there's like, do you really understand it? Once you understand it, you have a basic understanding or an advanced understanding. I think that's something that, yeah, is another permutation of that whole line of inquiry.
What makes it basic or advanced?
Like, you
Just
know how
how
a car works enough to like drive, but you don't know necessarily like how all the parts um, function in order to be able to fix it if you until you learn that, you know? It's like you don't know what makes the wheels roll or like you don't know how the internal combustion and engine works, like how the alternator recharges your battery necessarily. You know, you don't know how the processes that like the physics processes that make all that stuff work, you know?
Yeah, definitely that makes sense.
So what I think is like awareness is capable of expanding and understanding is capable of depth. So it's like a dimensionality to it, and both of them create a like a space, which is your consciousness base.
Hmm, pretty cool.
I feel like awareness is like it's primordial, meaning like it exists from the beginning or it's always existed, and like everything has awareness. And then understanding is like conceptual. It's like taking a rock and evolving it into a human being, and then we understand that we're a human being. But like awareness has always been there in the background. I feel like everything has awareness. Like even rocks, like you can tap on a rock and you can hear it make a noise, makes a vibration against the ground like a knocking sound.
What you
When you
understand is limited. Sorry?
Say that again. You were cutting out really bad, Star. Where'd you go, Star? Did you ask a question? Because I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that I was just responding to him, but I forgot what he was saying. What I was saying.
I still have no idea what you said, but okay. Your speaker is like, or your microphone is like really
I think
erratic
it's
today.
I think it's more connection. Like to me, when I hear his mic, it seems like it's a connection issue. But
Yeah,
I could
I
I
think
could be
you're kind of
wrong.
he's kind of far away. That's
Yeah.
true. Maybe the internet connection isn't that great. Are you in a thick walled building, Starve? Are you not on Wi-Fi? Are you on cellular? I could probably actually anchor your signal if I knew where you were located, because I'm special like that. Not that everybody else couldn't do it too. It's just I happen to know how. I have an understanding.
Yeah, I just kind of fuck around sometimes, you know?
That's how you figure things out, though, right? You just,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so much. That's like such a good. The explorer nature is like a very good thing to have, but you have to be willing to deal with bumping into things and hurting yourself sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Where's everybody
Oh,
going?
yeah. The solar flares are peaking right now as as far as I know. So that could be knocking some people off the grid. Your signal is pretty solid.
Yeah.
So, guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is my friend Ben just came in. Say hi, Ben.
Man.
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. We were just discussing awareness and understanding today.
Oh, hello. Guys, welcome our new friend.
Yeah. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Hello. I realized this was a voice server. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Say hi to everybody. Mr. Within is the conductor, and he's on a walk going to go to the store or something, I think, right now. There he is.
Yeah, how's it going, man? It's better I talk in a little bit, guys. So you guys keep it going.
Cool.
You're not running home, are you?
He got louder. He must have turned up his microphone.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I can.
Cool. So what were we talking
Thank
about?
you for having me.
No.
No worries, man. I just noticed you have an enlightened name.
Uh, yeah, well, my first name is Ben. I played a game called Ingress for a while. I joined the Enlightened team, and I became Ben Lightened, and then I became Enlightened through the game.
Nice, man. What's your view on enlightenment? Because that fits the topic, which is awareness and understanding. So, like, how do you see enlightenment? How do you view that idea?
I'm actually a little full of shit when I say I am enlightened, because I'm not. I'm just like, I, I guess I'm in search of something like that.
You know, I'm
Um,
I'm just asking how do you how are you looking at life now after whatever you've experienced?
mm, we're in a game, basically. Is the way I view it.
Yeah, I kind of think it's like, yeah, it is. Lorna was saying that earlier, somebody that was here that she just disappeared temporarily. She's saying it's like a simulation. I wasn't even here for that, but
Like a choose
Anything
your own
before you was
adventure
in the game?
game
What do you
movie.
think? What do you think before was? Now you think it's a game. Before, do you think it was?
Before may have been just boredom. Just or like the universe. We are everything, I guess. I'm kind of exploring the concept of we are literally everything, and consciousness is within everything.
that's so funny you would say that because that's somebody just said that like right before, like
See?
we're the all. Yeah, see? So you're in the right place.
So, like,
Yeah,
what would you guys even say being enlightened is?
being
Hmm.
awake. It's all about are you awake or no? That's all there is. It's not like enlightened, it's more like awake, be present, aware of, because everything that we speak about here, actually, it's real. I mean, you know. Okay, what I want to say is, we should move slowly, more and more, to the real stuff. I mean, to facts, to observe ourselves, to more, right, to go from abstract to concrete. That's what
Yeah,
I would
that's
like.
like even just saying that though, that seems very vague to me because like what is reality? That's very different for each of us, right? Because like I believe in magic, and
Reality,
I
no,
know
no.
that
What is
I'm.
reality? Well, you cannot say what is reality. Nobody knows what it is, because but only thing we
Well,
can
then how
do
can we
is work
move
on.
to it?
Well, you cannot move if you have a concept of reality. First of all, the only thing you can do, because only thing you will find if you think anything that you can think about, like concepts or what is reality or how to get to that higher point or that higher self or whatever. Anything that's all you're gonna get crazy. You're gonna get something, but you're not gonna get reality. You're not gonna get any closer, maybe, right? So only thing
Okay,
first we have
so
to
I don't know. I
understand.
guess I'm missing what you're trying to say then, because it's like I tend to stay very much in the abstract, but I bring it into the concrete.
Well, that's
Like,
where
but
understanding, you can say you're either aware of how little you know and what
yeah,
limits you have on yourself, or you can try to understand, and that's basically just confusing yourself.
yeah, I don't try and understand. I just be mostly.
I spend a lot of time trying to understand, I'd say.
I guess it really
When
depends on the subject.
Or the
when you're
person.
trying when you're trying anything, you're actually resisting.
Exactly. So don't. What you're trying to understand? You're trying to understand what? Huh?
Do
Go
or
on.
do not. There is no try.
Yoda,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
He said,
That's
"Do or
just a
do not
Yoda
do.
quote.
There is no try." Yeah, it's a Yoda quote. Do or do not do. There is no try. But he spoke backwards, so he's kind of confusing.
We
Yeah,
are
but what?
upside down and backwards.
So basically, just what he's saying is just be aware, and everything sorts itself out. Like, because like awareness is like a light. It's like, once you see, you have clarity, like, and you have confidence. But this confidence is like you don't need motivation. Motivation anyway is from an external. So now you're naturally confident because you can see clearly. You can see it just it's natural. So um, it's
How do
unlike.
you explain people that are stupid but are incredibly confident?
Uh,
I'm just.
well, how I see it is not like there's no such thing as stupid because everything is intelligent. Like
That's true.
every little, even one strand of hair. Why I'm saying is intelligent in the way that how things are moving, how this process in your body, how it's communicating with whatever you think about these processes, right? Yeah, there's no question about it that we don't understand them. They're moving in an intelligent and meaningful way, but we fail to even be aware, right,
Hmm. So what would you do
of
differently?
of the significance. Sorry.
I was saying, what do you suggest that we do differently rather than, ignoring those things? Like,
Well, the best thing
I'm
you can do is try to understand the situation in the sense that, and now you don't have you basically you don't have to try to okay, just forget understanding, but in the sense that understanding in the sense that basically you don't have to try to understand anything. Only your mind tries to make concepts, try to understand, to be clever about it, right? But it's simple as
What?
this. But you don't, maybe it's hard to be simple. That's the thing. So
Approaching,
you
it
only
approaching
is.
things.
aware, you only look, you only observe, you try to understand why this person is behaving, why this process is behaving in this way. Like you watch a bug, like you watch, right? You don't try to judge the plant because there's nothing to, only thing that you judge, you can only judge with your limited mind, right? So when you see stupid, basically is something in you that you didn't understand. You see, you didn't look at, and obviously you didn't understand. So that's why
I'll take that. I'll
you.
take that. Yeah, I shouldn't have used that word. I meant like ignorant, like more so
So you
than
meant
stupid,
you
because
meant
it's a bad
you
word.
meant
The
ignorant.
stupid.
Well, even if you say ignorant, it's basically it's
Mhm.
you who it's something who what you didn't
I can
understand in you, right? You didn't have like
Yeah.
it's easy to jump to conclusions. Say, oh, so,
True. I gotcha.
I like to call that cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, it's very confusing. It happens a lot. Paradoxes in
Yeah.
thought.
That happens when I
Or
bring up the Mandela effect to people.
yeah, paradox or octave.
yeah,
I like to call it octave.
cognitive dissonance, cognition. What is cognition? It's
Thought.
your perception. It's about perception, right? So it's dissonance, meaning what? Basically, I think it's a complicated term. It means you're asleep. You're not awake. You're not paying attention. You're not aware of you're not aware of the facts. That's what I'm saying. You see, when to say, oh,
I tend
he's stupid or, huh?
I tend to think that cognitive dissonance is just it pushes us to be able to hold more than one reality at once, if that makes any sense.
Right, and also because we
Did-
have so many fields, there's a distortion, and depending on how wide our eye's mind is, so to say, or the tunnel of light we're giving off, then you'll be able to see. Like I can see who are the golden ones. All I have to do is just look at them. They look at me and I'm like, "What's up?" Right? And then you know the ones that are still like, "Hey, I think I'm golden, but I have no idea." And then there's other ones that are like,
Oh
"I
yeah,
know there's something out there." Right? And then there's other ones that are just like, "I'm so fucking scared and I want to die." Or there's other people that are like, "Why the fuck am I here?" Or "Get me off this
or like I
planet." Or
don't
there's
want to
so
be
many.
here. Yeah,
Right, and those
so
are the people that I give the most love to
me
because
too.
those
Me
that
too.
have lost their light really truly need to understand that we all deserve it. Everyone is worthy of it.
Yeah, and everybody gets through. There's enough for everybody.
Everyone has a seat in the kingdom of heaven. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Even the ones who may have done the most craziest senile things ever with the most
Yep.
why
spiritual whatever.
you mean you love specifically only certain type of you mean you're
Everyone.
inclined to
All ones. Everyone. All things. Every like
But the
anything,
people that
everything.
are like, some people need a little bit more help at this point, right?
including yourself?
Oh yeah, for sure. In some ways.
Definitely.
Well, it's an inside job.
It is an inside job. That's so funny.
Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. I wanted to say something about enlightenment, right? So they had this view, like the Buddha was enlightened, they called him the awakened one, right? So I think it's like the idea of waking up to the true nature of this world, as if like what we're seeing now is not the actual, and then there is the actual, right? So
Uh, it's
from that view, if somebody's saying they're enlightened, that means they've seen the actual nature of something, right? So with that being
Exactly.
said, what do you guys think?
I'm
Well,
not
you think
saying
I
about
think
it's not actual or it's not real, because it is real, but it's not in the sense that you can think about it, or your mind can make concepts of it, right? Because of course,
this,
as
or you
this
could
is the
we see
explain it.
colors, we
I don't think
see
it can
sorry.
be put into words.
Exactly,
right,
yes.
It's
we
really hard
see
So
to.
this, so it's not
Now,
separate from the other thing. This is connected to the visible, is connected to the invisible. It's not like separate, like your body isn't separate. So it's not like there is another reality. No, it's you're not aware of how you're not aware of you. It's a very limited. It's not like Buddha uh, saw different like reality. I don't know how to.
Like the subconscious.
It's not like it's not anything special or only the mind maybe makes it. It's only the question is this: you how if you're awake or
Your
asleep,
lens of perception,
But it's
the
like,
lens that kind of. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Mr. Witten, you want to say something more about that one
Well,
with the Buddhism?
I mean, it's
So
just like there's so many different things. Like you could say one thing is one way, and then like from a different side, it's like completely the opposite. But we're looking at the same exact thing. Like if there was an invasion of fire ants in your home, and you got somebody to an exterminator to take them out, well, good for you, bad for the ants, you know. But like it is and it isn't, and there's just it's your lens of perception that collapses that distortion field, and basically creates reality.
absolutely. And are we in the lens of love or fear or multidimensionality?
Love or fear. That's it. You
And
got it, sister.
we're
Right.
I love you.
multidimensionality. Right? We could see it all as different spectrums. I was going to say a way to explain it that I've been seeded through is imagine a tree. You plant a tree, a seed, right? You don't see nothing for years and years and years and years, but the next generations, they have that impact. I will be back because I need to tend to my little world in this little bubble. So I'm grateful for all of you, and all of your perceptions are fucking epic. See you soon.
Right on. She's so cool. I love her so much.
That was an awesome way of saying it. But I just wanted to say this is where I take the crossroad of saying, what if I don't want to come back? What if there's way more than just this dimension, as if a multidimensional being's caught in a web? Okay, or
Then
how like
go. I mean, you can
the
do
yogis.
that. You'll be
No.
fine.
I know. I'm saying if it's like you see, it's sure, if you enjoy a place, you stay in it, right? But what if you have been staying in this place for eons, for countless times, repeat,
Mhm.
you know,
I
going
definitely
from
have.
civilization, going to planet, starting advanced civilizations, right?
This is
Imagine you've done this so
Alan
many times.
Watts.
Okay, so if you've done this that many times, the question comes, okay, what else is there? Because we get bored when something repeats, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm thinking, okay, and here's the crazy thing. In all these like wisdom traditions where they're like renounce this, renounce materialism, all the things that they're renouncing is actually what defines the human, right? So it's as if there's something else going on here, let's say an unseen event, right, which surpasses this shape, right? So if you like shapes, you stay in shapes, right? But what if there's more, right? Because I remember someone telling me life is a school. You just endlessly improve and update. And I was like, great, but it's infinite. So you're in an infinite school for what? Do you know what I mean? So the question
Yeah,
is like,
I
okay,
get
is
the
it beyond?
confusion
Is it?
there.
Yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm just saying that what if um, this is not it? So what would be the approach? And any human approach leads to desire, which they shun. So the Buddha, when
Not
he
it though.
stopped doing anything, he got enlightened. When he stopped
What do you mean by
everything,
not it though? What do you mean by not it?
not the actual reality, right? I'm
Well,
saying imagine you're in a room, okay, of a bigger house, okay, and you're like, wait a minute, is there a door? Am I seeing another room? Then why have I just been in this room? You know what I mean? Like that kind of
yeah.
wonder comes in, right? Now the question is enlightenment human? Now this is my view that it's not for a human mind.
Some
It's not
sometimes.
human. That's why it can't be put into language or shape or any sort of individualism. It's literally
But I
like,
can be communicated though, like without
yeah.
words
I mean,
in
you
a
can
very deeper
point to
nature.
the
Yeah.
right. You can point to the stars, but the tip of your finger isn't the star. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
there's something there. Now, how the mentality of like, why am I in let's even connect this to understanding. Why am I in an infinite place where the understanding of an infinite place could be infinite until you understand? You know? So it's as if, why am I in an infinite game? The question,
To grow it.
the point, yeah, but it's infinite.
right?
Yeah,
So what is
yeah.
it
So
for? What
infinite
is it
growth.
for, right? Yeah. But infinite growth means actually nothing because it doesn't end. Whatever you see doesn't end. So it's literally like the universe is playing a game, and is it going to get tired of this game? Or is there something more than how this pattern of incarnation keeps repeating, right? Because in Tibetan Buddhism, holy shit, guys, it's like, but ignore the sound. So in Tibetan Buddhism, after a person dies for 40 days, the monks sit there and they guide that soul to like beyond this realm, right? So is it, I'm saying like, is there something where you got to notice something, something has to click before you die, or like in your reality, in your perception? Or is it just, if you accept something, why else should you see anything more than that, right? So the acceptance of the system could be
Yes.
ignorance, right?
I
It
was
could
about to
be
say
ignorance.
that it
I
isn't
could see that,
enlightenment
but
kind of like just
You see, because,
acceptance of everything, like accepting what is, just acknowledging everything, and then just not, and then just being with it, even if you're confused, just accepting confusion. Like you're just accepting it, and that's
yeah,
it is
yeah,
as it
but
is.
sitting in it is definitely an
depending
important
on
part in
is
it.
there a self there or not? Because if you're just there as presence, I call it, instead of personality. Like when we speak, we're a personality. But if you're just standing somewhere watching something, you're not a personality. You're just sight. Do you know what I mean? You're like just a presence, right? So I'm thinking like the personality is limited and the game is of personality, and everything that, like, let's say a being reincarnates, it's because it keeps thinking the personality is the way. So it could be like a dead, it could be a, like the collective consciousness took a wrong turn and it's stuck, do you know? And then
I don't
it's
think
like,
there's any mistakes.
Yeah,
okay,
everything is perfect.
It
if,
is.
okay, but perfect to who? To a self,
To
to a body, to a mind, to
To
an
the
ever
source.
presence?
To
Yeah,
the
so the
source that created
source,
the perfect pattern. Yeah.
right. But
to the
then what
shape.
about the body and the mind? So we're just
It's
zooming
all
out of
just
that
parts
and
of it.
being like it's irrelevant?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh.
some more morphogenetic fields. Like
Don't
memes.
you get the feeling that I mean this may I might be just it might be just me, but I sometimes get the feeling that it's like a puzzle and these are the
It is.
pieces. Do you know?
It
Like
is. It
it's as
is.
if
You're
there's a
totally right.
reason it's given. There's a reason why, like if somebody opens their eyes and they're in a mechanic shop and they're holding a wrench, like they'll be like, okay, there's a reason. This wrench has something to do with the motor. Do you know? So
Oh,
I've opened up my eyes in like a, in this human life and I'm like, okay,
Or
what is this?
reminds me of Gnosticism
If
for some
I'm
reason.
not this, what is this
Say
for?
that.
If I am
w-
source, why am I playing with the effect? If I am
Hmm.
cause, the source of it, why am I playing with
it
the
could
effect?
be that you're
Right?
just bored with being source.
Um, right,
Could
but
be
how
source
can you be
getting
bored?
bored and saying, well, I don't
Okay.
know. I mean, it could be just be like, okay, well, I've experienced so many realities. Let me forget that I've experienced all these realities and let me split myself off into another way so I can experience more realities. It's just like an infinite loop of reincarnation creating more and more and more. But it's like it probably just gets to a point where source is like, okay, this is bored. I know everything. I've seen everything. I've been everything. So now let me just forget that I know everything for a moment so I can experience what it's like to be an individual. Let me forget
I
that
think
for a
that.
moment.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I have a theory. I have a
Yeah.
theory that comes from the other side of that, and it was that I think that before time existed, I think that source was not self-aware, and then whenever source like blew itself into 1,000 pieces and like linear time started, then since then it's all been coming back into like all the parts of source coming back together in a way that was self-aware. So and then like our
yeah,
consciousness and then our consciousness is converging into this like unity with the source again, and this time we're going to be more than we were before because as source we will be self-aware.
It's
right.
kind of like you're saying.
But
Check just one thing though. See if this is a good metaphor.
okay.
It's like there's a human being it's put its hands inside these puppets and it's forgotten that it's the puppet. Okay,
And then the
Oh yeah,
puppets,
definitely.
in the middle of being puppets in their puppet universe, are like, holy shit, is there something bigger that's being all of this? Right? And now I'm saying the eyes of the puppeteer are way different than the puppet. So if the puppet accepts it's the puppeteer, sure, but it doesn't surpass its puppet universe. If inside it, it's accepting it, right? So there has to be this effort to see beyond, right? Do you know? So that's the thing I'm saying, that it's
Yeah,
like
you're onto something there.
the puppet has to sit down, stop doing any
And
action like Buddha. Let me just finish this. Sorry. I'm just saying, like, the puppet sits down
okay,
like
yeah,
Buddha,
continue,
doesn't do
continue. I'm listening.
anything, doesn't, let's check this out. The puppet sits down, it stops with its puppet mind, okay? And it's just standing there. Then it notices, wait a minute, I'm not moving myself. The puppeteer is moving me. So it's the same with consciousness. Do you see what I'm saying? It's as if like so I would say we are never this to want to endlessly improve it. If you're not this, why the hell are you like improving it infinitely as a being, right? So it's like, is there are we the puppet's salvation or the puppeteer's remembrance? Like, do you know what I mean?
You can only try to understand what you just what didn't understand.
I can't hear you.
You can only understand what you just what didn't understand. It's happening instantaneous if you take into account all that. But if you're just trying to understand, like mentally, you can understand anything. Yeah, like that you can understand anything, because your mind can has, it's like infinite, you could say, has this capacity to imagine anything, right? But this doesn't mean it has anything to do with, like, for example, your hand, right? It can do anything, right? But if you don't see your hand is connected to the body, it's connected this, that. If you're not aware of if you're not aware of the way of the reality of yeah, let's say your actions as well, you're gonna be like that puppet. You're not an individual, you're a puppet. Right? So once you're
But
basically
you're
once
not
you
the puppet. See, that's the whole thing. If you're not the puppet, why then the desires for the puppet's life? If you're the puppeteer, do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm saying, is it like forgetfulness? Is it like divine amnesia, God's amnesia we're experiencing, where God's
ignorance
forgotten it's God, right? Or
is just
ignorance,
ignorance. Simple.
Very
right? But
You
simple.
let's say that ignorance was gone. What would be it? What would it be then? Let's say you had no
you,
ignorance. You got over it. What then? How would it
Be
appear then?
whatever narrative you
uh
subscribe to.
you you wouldn't try to understand. You just be and do, and but to get to that point, of course, first you have to be aware of some other things.
Yeah, like everyone else exists and they're all part of you too.
Yeah. In order for there to be ignorance, there needs
To
to be like something trying to convince something that they don't know, or something. It has to be a teacher, or at least something being worth untaught.
Right, because like
so
to teach is to learn. To teach is to learn.
Ideally, yeah.
Because what are you teaching if you're not learning? Like, what are you learning if you're not teaching?
Downloading a program. Yes.
I know lots of teachers that don't bother to learn, but they're not very good teachers. But
Then that does no good. If you're just like, it does no good to be one or the other. It's like a equal relationship between the two.
Yeah, I think that there's like no mistakes though. I think everything happens the way that it does because it's all like I made lots of things that people would qualify as mistakes. And for me, that they were actually lessons. In retrospect, they're always lessons.
Just like in psychedelics, there's no such thing as a bad trip.
I want to say something before I forget. Earlier, you were mentioning something about like how there's a big bang and everything split off, and time before didn't exist. Well,
Yeah,
I just want to suggest that maybe that happened here in our universe, but that
yes.
like it's always existed. Everything has
Yes,
always
it's
existed.
eternal. Yes, it is. But it fractured off into this one like dimensional bubble where we happen to be right now. And there's definitely a lot more to it
Yeah.
than we're consciously aware. Absolutely. I will agree with you. Yeah. 100%.
You know, guys, I want to say in the Upanishads, there's a famous saying they have. It says "neti neti," not this, not this. The feeling I have, the reason I'm like, kind of challenging you guys on this is because should we so easily accept that this is it, or is it not this? Right? That means it's like,
It's
are we
both.
inside it? Yeah, yeah, but I know. But listen, I'm saying it's like being inside an illusion and then saying I'm awake. No, it's like, no, you're in the illusion, right? It's like somebody dreaming inside their dream. They are awake. Let's say they are conscious in the dream. They're moving around, but
But
they're
both
not
can be
awake.
true, right?
No, yeah, no, it can't be because they're not awake in the body. You see, they're not awake
See,
they're not awake. They're in the dream, right? So you
when you
see
think
that? You see
when
what
you
I'm
think
saying?
of it outside of time though, it is all now. So like before you were awake, after you were awake, same thing
Right. Oh,
because there's no time.
then
So it's
yeah,
like
then there's no you because it's all now.
that
The now is everything. So what
I'm
are
not that
we doing
attached to this
here with?
body, so that's
No, no,
fine.
I'm not judging you on it. I'm saying like in regards to the philosophy. I'm saying it's like what is the sense of you, right?
Why
When
are we
you're
here? Why
everything.
not?
No, I'm saying if you're everything, right, then why act? Why act like you're just this? Why does
We're
this need to
connected
do
to everything.
anything?
We are not individually everything yet because of time. Like it's really
Right.
frustrating, I know.
Because of emotion.
Yes, and because we have to be able to accept that we've all been fucked up and we need to not be afraid of having those fucked up things in our past lives or this life or whatever exposed because everybody is equally as fucked up as everybody else. So we just gotta love each other and love and like accept each other.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Right. But yeah, I would say that's general conclusion, right? But for the specific being, there's like beings in different dimensions, right? So let's say you're saying there's lesser beings. Why do we help? Why are you loving, right? To serve, right? To have something where your attention's going. Do you know? It's like, do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah, I'm
like,
a very service oriented person. So yeah, I don't know why I do it. It makes me feel good, mostly, I think.
see that this is the
Journey
challenge.
to
I'm saying if we're everything, what's the point of individual purpose? Okay. If we are not everything, right? Then it's like, and we're saying we're not the individual, where does that lead? Right? Because to me,
Oh,
let me tell you this
okay, I have a
spirituality
poem afterwards.
is not human.
They say there is another, but I don't know.
What do you mean it's not human? What do you mean it's
That
not
means
human?
it's not for the human. What you are from a perspective, let's say from a experiential perspective, you're not this, right?
Not
So
just
it
not
see
just this.
that means if you would you say okay,
It is
Not
human,
only
yeah, it
I
is
don't
this.
know what
human,
else to say.
but not that concept of
I'm
limited
I'm
human. 'Cause it is
I'm
not.
just saying it's like as a human we're accepting we're everything, but what happens to your human? Do you know what happens to the human component? Right?
It
It's the end of
grows.
it. No, it's the end.
Oh,
You
it could be. It
dissolved
could
it.
be the end of it.
You dissolved it like a vitamin in like water. You know,
But I'm still
right?
here.
It's dissolved. You know,
But I'm
that
still
means there
here.
was never you here. See, that's
Yeah.
not you. What's here then is not you.
But I'm here still.
See, how can a
He's
drop be a
talking. He's
drop in an
talking.
ocean? That's what I'm saying. How can a drop
in an ocean, imagine a raindrop falls into the ocean. How can it still be a raindrop? How can it still be a raindrop? You know? So if you're
It still has a little
ocean,
bubble force field around it that makes it a water molecule. So I don't know.
okay.
That it,
I'll let you
Yeah.
win. Zephyr.
Oh no, it's not a competition. We're just like hashing this out. That's all.
I know.
I'm not like competing with you at all.
No,
it's
no,
a
no, no. It's good. This
spirited
is
debate.
discourse. This is the essence of discussion.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It is. And I love you guys for this. I mean, it's great that you're challenging each
See,
other
this is
and
my.
me.
I'll tell you this. If you guys can, I mean, I think I've understood the answer you guys are saying, but pretty much my whole thing was like, you're not you in that enlightened, let's say that ultimate reality state. There is no you. The you is because there's an individual body and its behavior through memory makes the sense of you, generates it,
Yeah,
right? But
perhaps
if you're,
that's part of it. I think it's a lot deeper than that, though.
It's
I am saying it's deeper, right?
it's I
And I'm
am.
saying it's what?
It's
It
I
has to be
am. I
deeper.
think the
Yeah,
whole Ra thing, like I am. It's just I am. It's from everything.
And
yeah.
Maya,
So
Maya,
I'm
I am Maya.
Just like
so I
the
think
infinite depth of perspective. Yep. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm just saying the answer I took away from you guys was that it's everything. So there's no problem,
Yeah,
right? There's
everything's
nothing to
fine.
do. There's no need. There's no mistake.
No,
There is no
there is stuff to
right
do
and
because
wrong. There is
you
nothing.
still have
It's like
desire.
who did that? It's like everything did it. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's the
Yeah, it
end of
did.
human individuality and responsibility. It's the end of
Doesn't mean that all is lost,
human
though.
psychology. Yeah. I'm not saying it's lost, but I'm saying it's the end of humanism, right? So that's
Yeah,
the
well,
thing,
there'll be
right?
something else next, right? It doesn't mean the end of all humanity. It's like that's still in us, but we're
You'll
evolving.
be everything else next.
Yeah,
Source.
hopefully. I mean, we still got a while there, long road to get there, but
As far as consciousness is
Right,
concerned.
right.
yeah, exactly. But I think we're doing all right. We're doing all right.
It's like fuck yeah. Yeah, we're doing okay. But for me, I like the human mind seeks purpose, and
Yeah.
enlightenment is purposelessness, because there is nothing to find when
If
you are the presence of where it's all
Yeah,
happening,
that's so far away
right?
though. I don't even think about that.
Well,
Yeah,
the
good
journey
thing
is
this
the
is a
destination.
philosophy group.
No, it's not. It's not far away, and
Uh,
I think the explanation you give doesn't give justice to
Probably doesn't, not yet.
yeah.
It's only a working theorem.
So Starve, what would be your explanation?
Yeah, well, I mean, the you that you're talking about, you can only take from the context. What's the context? You have to look at the context, right? It's a reaction to the environment, the you, and you're not aware, and you didn't understand, basically, right? Or you're not aware of you, of the environment, and of course you don't see the significance. You don't, so
Yeah. It's like the snake being afraid of its own tail.
I have
Or
Like
this
biting it.
thing.
Or biting it.
yeah.
I have this thing called well, it's not a thing, but my salt in water is your salt in water. Your salt in water is mine. Our salt in water is one. We all come from the same thing, source. We're all going back
In
to the same
Maya,
thing.
in Maya, it's called
Mhm.
I am another you in Lakech.
Mm-hmm. There's a cool song. It's like you are me and I am you. It's I forget who sings
We
it.
all come from the same
Interesting
thing.
song. Yeah.
We do.
does
That's why I love
does you
everybody, but I
trying?
don't like everybody.
You don't like everybody. Who you don't like?
Oh, there's certain people that I come in contact with that I don't like, but I love everybody.
Because you see, the best you can do is try to understand. Once you try to understand, basically you're observing like you observe a flower, right? So there's
Hmm.
something in you which doesn't let you, it's a barrier, prevents you from understanding, and that's
Well, I'm rubber, you're
once
glue,
you
bounces off me and sticks to you. Ha ha. No, just kidding.
say what, repeat that again.
I said I'm rubber, you're glue, bounces off me and sticks to you. It's like you're saying something that is also true about yourself.
The things that
Um,
are you saying like you see something that you don't like in somebody, and that's kind of like a reflection of something that you might not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can't be judgmental. None of us can, really, truly. I mean, we can act like we are, but it's like if I say I'm unoffendable. You can try really hard to offend me, and people, but it's like it's all like totally up to me if I choose to be offended. And any of you feel free to test that. But it's just like
oh yeah,
I just like, and
I
I
mean,
like,
can I
yeah,
test that?
yeah. Go ahead, go
It could
ahead.
be. Oh,
You
go
can try.
ahead. I was gonna say like a lot of it. I mean, there's like the default mode programming, and then there's
Hmm.
conscious like decision making. Like you're choosing to employ a program that you've learned to in order to change the default subconscious programming. So that's more of a conscious decision making thing. So if you were to offend somebody, and they just like naturally get offended when they see uh, I don't know. I mean, like from the perspective of racism, if like a person sees a race that they don't like, they're just automatically upset. But if they choose to change the programming, then that's like more of a stance of consciousness. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
You
I
choose.
You,
let
No,
me.
they're just gonna choose another
Yeah.
thing, which is just as bad. So it's not about choosing this or that. It's just being aware of what's happening. Like that's a reaction. Like the the instant that you said, the instant dislike or this, it's a reaction that you learn. So you just have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
aware of what's happening.
You, Starve, you said a point I wanted to make. I would say, Zephyr, it's not that you don't get offended, you don't act upon it. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's true. Yeah,
Because we're
yeah. I just
different
don't take it
culturally,
personally.
we're yeah, right? So it's some, but yeah, exactly. But it happens, right? Because we're
I
different. We have different
suppose. Yeah,
biology,
yeah.
different culture, different ways of thinking. So if we
And
agree
that's
to
what I
everything,
mean.
right? It's like we're like, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't
Yeah, I'm
make
not
sense. It
agreeing to
wouldn't be like,
everything, but
yeah, yeah,
and you're
yeah.
not saying I am, I know. Um,
So it's not
I'm just
about
trying.
not getting offended. If you get, just it's better to just be direct and simple. Because
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
getting offended but you're not saying it, or if you just
Oh no. No.
that's
That's not what's
how you.
happening either, though. It's not what's happening either because I think
I
I can
think
hold like I think that we could disagree and like I could totally accept that your reality is just as valid as mine. And that
well said. Well, you know, the thing is, I sometimes think if you, instead of getting offended, let's say you take anger, right? Let's say if somebody says, I don't get angry, right? They get angry, right? But they don't release it in their outer realms. They release it in their inner realms or they hide it and then they see a punching bag and they just hit the
I
punching
channel
bag.
it into
You
art.
know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. You send that reaction that was created inside you instead of back in the outer realms, you send it in the inner
Hmm.
realms, or you don't identify it. You don't
Yep.
identify with it, right? So you watch it.
Yep.
So if you're getting angry, let's say
Observe it.
somebody's making you angry, you're just watching yourself be angry. You're not like going into unconsciousness and being like, no, this is how it should be. Like you're not fighting, right? You're just watching it. You're not resisting it. Because if you resist
Yeah.
something or you get angry or offended, it's because what the other person said became real to you.
Yeah,
That's the
because it
reason.
stuck. Whenever they threw it at you, it stuck to you for a reason. Yep. That's what Ice Cube said. That was from an Ice Cube quote. Said if I say something and it sticks, then it must be something in you. because he was talking to this reporter, this like white lady, and like she was like worried about rap like corrupting the youth, and he was trying to explain to her that it was his reality and he was just expressing himself and he should be allowed to do that. And if they had a problem with it, then there was a problem for sure, but it wasn't necessarily a problem with him. And she took it really well. And it just, I don't know, that's one of those experiences like in witnessing someone else and their reaction to it, that's a very powerful way to react. Look at where it's got him. He's doing pretty good. Artists. We're crazy people. In a good way. But not to
I didn't
everybody.
mute myself. I just got home. I only caught
Yeah,
part of
artists
what you were saying there.
Oh yeah, I was talking about Ice Cube.
Like the rapper?
And yeah. Yeah, I know, it's kind of random. It was relative though, I think, to the conversation. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
Guys, I'm
So
going to
what
read something
what you try
for
to
you.
what do you try to understand? Like what is there to understand? What is understanding? What there is any need for understanding? I would say no.
Then why are you here? That's what I would ask.
Basically, understanding is you translate what already is into some kind of based on your context. You're trying to translate it to
Into
understand it,
something that
right?
my self-awareness can
Like, but
comprehend
your
it, yes.
understanding is limited to whatever is limited anyway. But your
But it's also
attention
expanding.
awareness.
So it's like you're
It's
chasing
expanding.
your own tail. Yeah. My awareness is expanding constantly. Everybody's awareness should be expanding constantly. So the understanding is to fill that because space supports a vacuum, and that I'm not going to be just expanding emptiness.
Mm-hmm. When you're expanding, you're increasing the realm of potentiality, I'd say,
in
as
my
well.
own self-awareness, and that therefore I'm like increasing my connection with the source
Yeah,
of all that
what I
is.
say, my opinion, okay, is that I'm saying to all of us, like I'm speaking to all of us, to me included. I'm saying like I or you or you don't or me, okay, say about me. I don't understand anything, okay, or you don't understand nothing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
I know.
understand nothing.
I know I don't understand. That's why I keep trying. Because I would like to. I know that it's not possible, but I keep trying anyways, because what else is there to do, really?
Approach everything with a playful curiosity.
Yeah.
Guys,
As they say.
can you check the quote in the main hall?
I will definitely do that, yes.
See, there's a point in that where, okay, I'll read it for you guys. He says, this is Paramahansa Yogananda who's saying it. He says, don't depend on death to liberate you from imperfections. You're exactly the same after death as you were before. Nothing changes. You only give up the body. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Nothing
There's
changes.
a little bit of a thing in the background, but I can hear you.
I don't see the
Stav,
quote you're
can you
talking
mute
about,
it for a
though. Where
second?
did you put it?
In the main hall.
Yeah, I looked. Oh, main hall related?
Yeah.
Did I get an invite to your
So-
guys' thing, actually?
Yeah, I invited you.
You did, okay. Oh, never mind, I'm in.
So,
Sorry.
Cool.
So guys, just to share the point, and then you guys have the floor. So he says, you only give up the body if you're a thief or a liar or a cheater before death. You don't become an angel merely by dying. If such were possible, then let us all go and jump in the ocean now and we become angels at once. Whatever you have made of yourself thus far, so will you be hereafter. And when you reincarnate, you will bring that same nature with you. To change, you have to make the effort. This world is the place to do it. So it's not like we're already at the destination and we're like, yeah, we don't need to drive. There's something that needs to be done, right? Some effort has to be put, right? Now, that's like, I think, to the transformation of nature. So the alchemists were like lead into gold. So lead has to become gold or you're in the lead universe. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's funny that you say that too.
I keep hearing that reference.
Yeah,
Lead
the
into gold
Philosopher's
just keep
Stone.
coming up.
You know, I was thinking the whole perspectives come down to, is there something that needs to be done, or is it all just meaningless play? Is it meaningful purpose or meaningless play, right? And the higher
I
dimensions,
think it's meaningful play.
yeah, it could
Kind
be
of a
that.
combination of the
That
two.
could be the key in the lock. Yeah, conscious living,
Yeah.
right? That could totally
And
be the
with
key
joy,
in the
you
lock.
can be joyful. We came here to experience joy too. Everybody's so
Can I be a
serious.
joyful nihilist?
Sure, I'm an
Can I be a
absurdist
joyful
nihilist. I'm an absurdist
Yeah.
nihilist. You're probably already one too.
I don't even know what I am.
Okay, this is getting too
Can you
too
repeat that? Can you repeat
existentially
the question?
confusing.
Repeat the question.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah. That's,
Yep.
My attention went elsewhere. If you guys remember the question, like, pull it out of the void.
oh yeah, it's definitely in the
Derailed.
void.
I'm a professional derailer. Sorry.
Oh yeah, me
Oh,
too.
okay. I think I think it was that oh yeah. Are you meaningful? Are you meaningful purpose or meaningless play? Right? Because if you go beyond humanism, meaningless play. There's no meaning for the human mind. It's just we're stuck in a corner and we think it's all this, right? So it's like we're just looking at reality from one angle of it, right? But if it's like meaningful play, I don't know how that could, like, the play itself is its own meaning, but there would be nothing there to do. Do you know? It's as if God created the universe for fun, or usually when people create something, they use it. No, when people create something, it has a utility. It's for something, right? So is it made for something? There's something to be done by all these random points of attention that have
Is
awakened
art
on
for
it,
something?
right?
I was about to say art.
It's for you. That's one answer.
Well, no, I don't.
It's for
I
you.
do it for me, but other people enjoy it, and people like value it outside of what I do. As a matter of fact, as soon as I'm done with it, it's not worth much to me, really.
The creation of it is within itself its own experience.
Yeah, and then other people can take. I do abstract art, so it's very easy for other people to find something in it.
No.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
was totally
You're
not
giving,
even
you're
what my
saying,
intention was most of the time.
there you go. You're giving the answer. It's still for something. It's for other people, right? Because the artwork's in your mind. You have it in your
Yeah,
inner life.
beyond
You don't need
me.
to draw it,
Yeah.
but why do you draw it, right? So there's still a reason.
But whenever I do it, I don't even think about that.
Right.
It's like
but
whenever I'm
we're
doing
saying
it,
that,
I'm not thinking of
imagine you
anything,
were God.
actually, usually.
Mhm.
No, that's not true.
Imagine.
You have to
Okay.
think about let me tell you what. You have to think about holding the pen. You have to think about the canvas. You have to think about the next line or whatever paintbrush stroke you have. So there is something there. It's not like your eyes are unless you're drawing eyes closed, right? Because then anything is art, right? But there's a certain level of it that relates
It's
to
very
its
much on
value,
autopilot, though.
right?
At that.
Right. You can say a nuclear explosion is art in that level, but that shouldn't be. There's something, you know what I mean? There has to be some sort of sieve we put this idea through. It's so meaningless play.
For me, though, it's a very much a meditation, and what comes out is more than what I consciously was aware of whenever I was.
So would you say art has purpose or no purpose?
I think it does. For me, it does for sure, and for other people, it seems to.
Right. So then it's for something, right? It's not just for itself, for just randomly, right? Because if it's random,
Well, yeah.
then it's like, how do you know it's like how there's no reference, right? So because no,
It's too
It's for a
obvious.
reason.
Zephyr, I totally understand like your perspective. Sure, I mean like
Yeah, it's just really hard to put into words, right?
It's like, who is the dancing for? Yes, you're doing it for yourself, but the product has value to the audience, right? So, something like that.
Yeah.
So now if God
you
was
don't
dancing,
ask who the dance is for, right? You like Shiva, you dance once you are in that point, right? Once you're aware, you make the music, you make your life like a tornado, right? How it moves. And whatever you see something like a beautiful pattern, right? With you, because you're something different. You have some other, like you're multidimensional, how to say, like in the sense that you're capable of, but first of all, you have to be awake to see what you are, first of all, then you move, then you don't try to understand, then you simply act.
Just hold on. Not you.
But
Sorry,
until
keep going.
it's such a strange thing, because see, this is the issue. If it goes to meaningless play, then destruction is meaningless play. Then we could literally blow this up and it wouldn't change anything. It's still, everything's
Destruction
still
leads to creation.
Right? Yeah,
it's only from you. You have to
that we
take a
shouldn't
point of
do it, bro.
reference when you say pointless or point, or if it's useful or not. You have to take a point of reference, right? If it's meaningful or not, right?
Let me
context, right? And you're not aware of the context. So how can you see meaning for you, or how can you make me if you're not aware of what you are, or the bigger picture? You're not trying to understand, but you see,
you're not conscious of it, but you are aware of what it is. Like it's like it's the same thing. Like you're aware that you're a body right now. It's just because you are aware of it, right? But you don't.
And even that's not. And even that's not true. I mean, even that's.
We're not talking. I'm not saying truth. Here's the thing. This is the way I see it, right? Even though I have concluded that energy is just one event and it doesn't have separation, right? I've concluded that the actual reality is not in language, and it's not in like our personalities come from our relationship with concepts and ideas, with just how we interpret the world. So I've on some level, like at least I'll say I have this knowing where it's just being here, whatever it is. So there is no individual, but at the same time I have this multidimensional perspective where I'm like, okay, I have a body. This body is physical. That means there's a physical thing it needs to do. It can do. It's here for a physical movement. I'm not a statue. Do you know? Do you see? So the body, there's some line of something to do with the body. Then I'm like, okay, there's the mind. The mind's not an object. What is the mind here? And then comes art, creativity, expressionism, right? To express yourself, right? Do you know? It's not just enough being something you require to express. So there's that. But then I think about, okay, then there's a part of me, let's say it went beyond time and space, that can be meaningless play. But because there's still the level of the body, the level of the mind, it's as if like, do you see what I'm saying? Even though on one level, everything's great, but what do we do with this, right? That's the question, right? That's how the question can have any value, right? It's as if the person's getting enlightened, so it stops being anything. Do you really know? It's to change what is here, or it's a remember a nature, they would say. Right. So on the level, let me just say this, on the level of the body, what is there to do? On the level of the mind, what can you do? And beyond that, is there a doer? So this is the general perspective I have. This is like my filter, right? Now, if I say I'm everything and everything's meaningless play, instantly the mind's role is pushed away. This doesn't matter if you have a mind or not. It doesn't matter if you are conscious or unconscious. It's all just happening. What's the point of consciousness or unconsciousness? Do you know? That's a nullification of the human identity. At that point, your body's like, I got nothing else to do because I'm everything. How can I do anything? I'm not. Do you see what I mean? So it prevents you from your humanism. Or it strays away, or it slides your attention away from a human living, right? I keep in metaphysics, this happens often where people like in a switch, they're like, yeah, I'm not the, you know, but I'm saying like, what is there to do on these two levels of the body and mind? How could it have this a view of enlightenment? Even how could it have a value on those levels? You know?
That answer is unique to everyone. So you can only find it within you. I mean, within.
Tell me something I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you something you don't know. I cannot. You can see for yourself.
That's a philosophically valid answer, bro. I totally agree. If it's something I don't know, how can you tell it to me? But how could I know it? You know what I mean? But unless you say it and then I know it. But anyways, I'm just saying. Listen, let's say we're all in paradise already. Why is this still happening, right? Why didn't the moment we realized we're everything just dissolve into like light or something? Why didn't it all just be? Do you know why my question? Why is the attention still here? And especially when Vedic and yogic knowledge tells you that there's more than this can be here, right? Like it is the more. So it's as if, are we just saying we are like enlightened, but actually, do you know, we're like, again, the dream metaphor, are we in the dream saying we're awake?
I posted a quote. I don't remember who it's by, but it's very relevant.
See, to me, it feels, not that it's not, but it feels too easy. There was a phase I went where I was really fascinated by just this singular presence. But then I wondered, why is this here? You see, that kind of, you know what it is? It's like you went away from Earth and you're like, I don't have any earthly problems, right? But then you've come back to Earth and you're like, why am I still on Earth? Right.
It's always the why nots, you know, tying why nots all the time. We have to untangle our why nots.
Right. See,
what's the question? I don't think I heard the whole question. I came back just now. If I may ask.
So you're trying. The question was, I don't know, something. Mr. Wittin was saying something. Maybe he can jump in.
The like the last question. Is it meaningful? Is it just meaningless play, or meaningful? What did I say? Meaningless play and meaningful purpose. Right. So I'm pretty much asking Lorna, what is the mind's role in being a mind? Like, we know the body's role to stick around, but what is the mind's role? Like, why are we being bodies that have minds, right? So why is there that mind? Could it be that this collective being that we all are, actually it's played, but it wants to create while it's playing? So like, it's like a child building Lego, right? So we're like the Lego pieces, right? So I'm wondering, as the Lego pieces, do we just say we're the hands that are moving us? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I think mind.
I'm pretty much saying
the mind might be just like a residue, like a memory because we're not paying attention to the actual thing that's happening. But and so how is this happening? Like the depth is, if you're living in the present without any, if you're living like if you're awake, and we're living how we're supposed to, we don't, because if you're aware, basically, basically your brain is a recording only. Of course, it's like recording everything, but as a reaction or as is storing, the brain is storing only when you're not paying attention. Or because if you're consumed the experience, like if you're in it 100%, if you're awake, if you're aware, right? You don't have to store anything, so nothing gets stored in the memory. You're just living. You don't have time, right? You don't have this concept of time. It's a different, it's just to continue. It's just the present, just like an eternity. So you don't have to even experience it. You see, it's like you're experiencing eternity. Even this, what we call bodies, what we call time, which is, but it,
Right. I'm just saying, what should the Lego piece do? Let's say behind the scenes, it's playful oneness of truth that could never go wrong. But why? What is the Lego piece's role? Right. So imagine the hands of God moving the Lego pieces, right? Moving like the human beings. I'm like, what is God doing with this movement, right? And we seek a human purpose, but it could be that it's the human purpose is for a non-human purpose. Do you know? Or like whether that's we go through a galactic phase in the future, or we just remember we use it as a stepping stone, and we're like not this anymore, right? As if it's like a part of the road we're in. How long do we want to stay in the part of the road and just endlessly build that part of the road? It's like what if the road's further, and what is the role of the mind? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's to me,
Really
it's like
Lego
we're all waiting for something.
for a long
I'm
time.
wondering if infinity is really boring, or if there's an end. It kind of sounds like I've had that question too. Is that kind of like what you mean? Like, is there a purpose to all this? Simple.
I'm saying that on some level there is no purpose because it can't have a purpose. It's not a thing or a individual to have a purpose. But I'm saying for the part that's individual, what is its purpose? And so far, our species has concluded free will, freedom, right?
That's the purpose
If you
of it.
look at everywhere, that's what people's motivation is freedom, which is a sort of advancement.
Which is expression.
Right.
About
It's
life.
like how much more you can express yourself, right? Like expressionism becoming more and more. I don't know.
I felt
I wouldn't
I
say
had
complex, but like
a little run with an idea in a direction that kind of runs it way. What you're talking about. It was give me 1 second to. It's like when I was far away from the planet in my mind's eye, and I'm watching it in kind of a faster speed than what we would see if we were actually like a quicker speed, and I saw like the lights in all the cities coming on and off as day and night rolled around, and in a rhythm, if you will, and the way the waters kind of go up and down in lakes and whatnot, as far as like the amounts give it a pulse also when it's in a faster speed than normal, if that makes sense, like when it's fast forwarded, but you can watch it. It gives you kind of a pulse of life, if you will, as you watch this happen simultaneously with the lights and the water supplies and just the lakes and the ocean. Well, not really the oceans, but the lakes and stuff. They all kind of have a pulse of normal going low, then coming back up, and then going low and coming back up, periods of time, rotations type of thing. And then the lights coming on and stuff at night, and how it looked so much like our body system, our what do you call it? The oh, I just had a brain.
Nervous system.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
Great answer. Great answer.
Yeah, and I kind of see that like the nervous system firings, our system itself, the mycelium under the earth, and then the galaxy itself has all the same kind of communication. So I just kind of saw it as something like that, and I'm thinking, why does that matter? And I'm seeing it almost like electricity, like, and I'm thinking, okay, is it? And then I ran it down the cell idea, you know, being a cell inside next to another cell and making another cell, blah 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 blah, and it's like, okay, why would it need to be? And I was thinking like more power, like, is it like a battery thing, like the Matrix actually said? And then like the government, this is when I was having trouble with the finding out who the evil is on this planet, right? And I was like, do they literally like control us through like, do the aliens talk to them and they control us on how much and exciting us like ramps up the power of the planet type of thing that they draw from? Because I was seeing like this life pulse out of it, and I'm thinking, just, you know, they know when to drop one last drop to get everybody excited about something, you know, like war or famine, or get your foot off my neck, you know, someone died under a cop's knee and shit like that. And so I'm thinking, okay, are we really just a battery, and they charge us up with excitement, and then that's all we do. We just kind of live this thing that we just keep reading, and they charge us up with excitement and drop us down as they need power somewhere. And then I ran with it as being the cell to a body, where it's got to be a healthy cell, like the collective of the planet versus the collective of the galaxy versus the collective of the whole cell, if you will, for whatever in case we're in. Needs to be positive in how it's ran. It's in the wobble and the yin and yang, kind of keeping a balance, kind of all fell into
What is
play.
a healthy cell?
I know, I'm telling you.
Cell means a cell working properly needs to be aware of the whole, like a cell in your body, right? It's to know like what the heart, like what the other things are doing.
I can't understand you.
How to act, right?
Yeah, you're kind of choppy.
I can't understand him. It's cutting out so bad.
What is a healthy cell? It means a whole, right? A whole means one with the system.
Damn it! You're cutting out really bad. Still, I don't know. You started out strong and then you faded back and it started cutting out real bad. I think I got what the hell or something like that. Is it?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I think what it is Lorna, I think the idea I got from what you said was that it's like an infinite wave. So the purpose of the mind would be endlessly till the end of time, up, down, right? But what I heard from Starve was that he was saying the purpose is coming from the environment. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you're saying, Starve, right? You're saying it's like the environment. So there is no
The environment.
You're the product of the environment. So there is no purpose in that way, right? That's why I think I understand now why you say it's all just this, right? It's like you're already at the destination, so there's nothing to do, right? But and Lorna's saying it's like infinite destination, endless up and down, up and down, up and down, right?
That's what there is to do. Yeah.
So I think what this proves is that we're all evolving towards the meaningless.
Well, that's why we get amnesia. So when we get here, we don't realize how long infinity and boring infinity could be. This is my guess. I'm just playing with it. But maybe infinity is so freaking boring. We come down here and play this game called Earth and come with amnesia so that we don't get bored being all happy and glorious and there's love and light everywhere and that's all there is. And maybe once in a while somebody wants to drop down on planet Earth and play a game of life. You know, I don't know. I'm just playing around. That's how I see it in my mind's eye sometimes. It's kind of fun.
Have you ever noticed in life,
yeah,
you can't come out of it without trauma? Like there's always trauma all the time. It's like you come here to experience it almost.
Well, yeah, like a drama, emotion, like emotions and stuff. Yeah, I think that plays a big part. And maybe we're co-creating with the creator and we don't know what we're co-creating because we're here in the worker bee area And when we ascend big enough and can go off to wherever, here's another just play with it. I can make a lot of movies. I can make up shit forever. Maybe that's when we get to see what we're creating here with our emotions and our mind, trying to get all focused and da 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 da, all that stuff they tell us, and then we don't even know it because we can't see it. Maybe, and then like those who do, just I'm just playing, but maybe we're making our next infinite world elsewhere to go to next to keep it exciting.
You're on to something there.
I mean, infinity is a long freaking time from what I hear. It's like forever.
And it's pretty cool to have bodies too, by the way, just so everybody knows, because like that's one of the main reasons why I think we come here, because like sex is fun, and yeah,
like emotions
are fun.
It plays such a big role in manifestation. It's got to be important. You know what I mean?
Emotions, energy, and motion.
That's what makes us unique as humans. If we got that an imagination angle.
Love to be in it too, because love really empowers. I mean, they have science stuff on this where they have guys that manifest and they think lovely thoughts and good feel people and whatnot. But if you put love behind it, it like superpowers it. It's kind of like the emotion behind it. That love's the best. Like if you can focus and really control your emotions like that, it really amps up the manifestation and whatnot.
And it has like a power over water, and we're mostly water, so.
Oh, it control, water.
85%. Just Masaru Emoto's experiment with water, how emotions can affect the molecular structure of water.
Can you speak a bit louder, man?
Yeah, the fourth element. Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Who are you talking to? Me?
Can you guys take a break for 3 hours? Or if not, I mean,
I need to take a break. I gotta do some dishes.
We cannot end this session, guys. Right? We can end the session.
I gotta dye my wife's hair.
Tomorrow at 6, from 6 to 8 p.m., just like today, there's going to be another session every Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so we can actually end the session. Everybody down for that?
Yeah.
Okay then.
That's good.
And that's Eastern time.
Chit chat about nothing.
All right, guys. So first of all, I think this was one of the coolest conversations on this Discord server. So thanks.
I'm glad you recorded it.
I was happy to jump in randomly.
I was like, there's so
we did record.
I'll see you guys tomorrow,
Catch you later.
What time tomorrow?
Okay, guys.
6 p.m.
I live in Toronto. Yeah, I live in Toronto, Canada. So it's
it'll be
from
3
6 to 8 p.m.
So that's 3 o'clock.
So at 6, I'll be in the Discord. Yeah.
It's the meat of a Sunday, All right. Cool.
Okay, guys. I think we all have an understanding through our awareness. Okay, take it.
Do you remember how to disconnect the Craig bot?
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna copy paste the thing. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Kudos for setting that up.